Good morning. I'm Desiree Bomino, and I'm your president for the association. And I'd like to welcome you to the CAMEX convention for 2022. I'm just so excited and happy to see all of you guys live and in person. And I'm looking forward to spending the next few days with all of you learning and connecting. A special welcome, by the way, to all of you who are streaming in virtually. Hello. I don't know where the camera is, but hi guys, there we go. We have people that are streaming in from all over North America, so a special welcome to them for our hybrid convention this year. As my term ends and I get to hand the reins over to our lovely and capable Leslie Wilson, I just wanted to say that I'm very honored to have had the opportunity to serve as your president this year. It is the second time that I've done so in my long history with this association, and the first time was over 20 years ago. So I think I did a little bit better this time. I definitely didn't go out late last night, and I didn't smoke any of Gary Puddle's cigars. So I'm good. As we know, CAMEX is more than just an association. It's the coming together of thought leaders in our industry in a supportive and sharing community, and that we've all come to love and respect. The past year hasn't been much easier than the last two. Coming out of the pandemic, we've now moved into an endemic world, which means unprecedented growth, stress, challenges, but also huge opportunity for all of us. We've learned much about our members and each other, and we continue to be there to support each other, and that really is what makes a difference with this association. I wanted to take the opportunity to thank the members of the board and Linda and Erica for an outstanding year. We collaborated on a strategic plan right at the beginning of the year and executed very well. We embarked on a number of efforts to do more for our members as we move forward, and we're not looking back. I just wanted to highlight a few things that we've done. We embarked on creating a new mentorship program for leadership development within our organization. The inaugural program received rave reviews. I don't know who was part of that, but what I understand is that it was an absolutely amazing experience. It's a very exciting opportunity for our young members to spend time with some of the most experienced people in this association and industry, and I encourage you to make this available to your team and to have them submit an application. We embarked on a partnership with the Indigenous Community for a Student Employment Program led by Tim Carwell, and he updated all of us at breakfast. I hope you were there to hear it. It was an amazing story, and they are on an amazing journey, and we can all be part of that. We updated the social media website and brand management of the association, and big kudos to Erica, who took the reins with that and did a fabulous job. We added a Boost Spotlight video interview to showcase our amazing members. Our education committee is now embarking on a program to design a frontline onboarding and training program for consistent and excellence for talent development with all of our team. We also started an agent listserv, so our frontline people can connect, learn from each other, and support each other. And we invested in the creation of an online profile platform to assist in the recruitment process of for our member companies. And I believe Erica is going to do a short presentation on that tomorrow at breakfast. So if you really want to come and see that, it's a great program. I know we utilize frontline profiling when we do our recruitment, and it saves us hours and hours of time, energy, and costs. So it was a very productive year, I'm glad to say, and I'm very grateful again to the full board and the leadership team of CAMEX for their expertise, their wisdom, and for moving the needle forward in this association. So thank you. So now I'd like to bring up Thomas from People Praise, and he's going to introduce our keynote for this morning. Thank you. Yeah, if you want to use it.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. All right, I'm Tom Schenk with People Praise, and I just want to say a couple things about Sarah before she comes up here. I've got a prepared thing I'm going to read, and I'm also going to talk just about my personal experience with her. Sarah McVannell helps leaders leverage the exponential power of recognition to retain top talent. She jokes that it's the only lane that pulls together her BA, MSc, and 20 years of practicing organizational development and certifications in human resources. Comma, organizational development, coaching. There's a lot of commas in this.
Sorry.
Speaking in healthcare admin. She left her senior leadership role 5 years ago to launch her boutique firm, Greatness Magnified, authoring some books, vlogging, tap dancing, and getting up to no good with her hubby, Mark, and kids, Justin, 18, Simone, 16. Is that correct? Ready to still?
It's so awesome.
Okay.
Fantastic. Right? Isn't it great? He's doing awesome. Yes. Yes.
So I first became aware and met Sarah about 3 years ago at the NAO conference in Puerto Rico. And the message that she was speaking then, 3 years ago, I think was very important. But in the last 3 years, I think employee engagement and employee retention are at the forefront of what our challenges are. So, get on the edge of your seats and pay attention to what she's about to bring up. She's got some great ideas and great concepts and things that you can take to work with you tomorrow. So,
Thanks, Thomas.
welcome.
Yay! Nice job. Awesome. Wow, the great resignation. Talk about the wrong use of a word, right? Does anyone like the great resignation? Is it kind of more like a sarcastic, great resignation? So we have an hour and a half to try to turn it from great to, is there something that we can leverage here? Is there something great about it? And this is why we want to bring back this conversation around recognition. Because what's interesting is that all the things that we're learning through this, how on earth did this, how have we can extended and we've sustained this challenging time of being able to retain people. Is there something that we need to know about this? Is there something that you as an industry can learn about it? And also, how does it help to reinforce what is already working so you can do more of it? Because look no further than the beginning of COVID to see how, in fact, we know as a human race that recognition is essential. Do you remember how at the beginning, I see you already nodding your head, where it seemed like every other day, sometimes hour by hour, those signs were popping up on the lawns, thanking healthcare, thanking essential services workers. You remember this? Way back in time. And even these viral videos, you couldn't hit Facebook without seeing something of appreciation, something inspirational. In fact, some that I remember most, do you remember these? Were the hardest hit areas in Europe. People would, on lockdown, on their balconies, would congregate at exactly 8:30 at night. And as they hung over the balcony, you're nodding your head, remember these? And people would be clinking their cups. And the camera would pan to these echoes of appreciation, this cacophony of acknowledgement. And they wanted it to be so loud, so it somehow reached the hospital doors, bursting at the seams with people receiving care, with providers who didn't know what they were dealing with and who are working around the clock. Do you get goosebumps even just recalling it? Or is it just a temperature thing in here? I'm getting goosebumps when I think about it. And here's what's so exciting. Didn't you feel good for those providers when you watched those and you heard about people being appreciated? You didn't necessarily have to be in their shoes. I mean, you've been open the whole time. It's like, don't remind us, Sarah. You've been open the whole time. You're essential too. And yet we feel great when we see somebody else being appreciated for what they're doing. It's almost like we knew that the only way we would get through the biggest global healthcare crisis of our lifetime is if the people on the front line of it knew that we were behind them. Does that make sense? Because we really were behind them. Now, the challenge is that we're seeing this extended period of time that transcends industries, yours along with everyone else's, where we're seeing massive resignation. Now, for the benefit of those who are from North America, we want to acknowledge that this is a US trend. It actually is across many, many countries globally. And also, when it comes to Canada, lots of journalists call me up and they're confused. How is this possible? Do people not want to pay their mortgage, insurance, rising housing prices? Is anybody wanting to maybe work more? Because it seems like economically it would be a good idea. Have you sometimes scratched your head and said, I'm sure that they probably want to, pay for their kid to go to that hockey practice. How are they going to do that otherwise? So when it doesn't make sense, it makes perfect sense. How do we understand this great resignation so that if we have a foundational understanding, then we're able to more strategically look at what is possible? So the Great Resignation really started when people were stuck at home. Now again, you've been open the whole time. And the people, some of you, and the people who report to you, you still had windows of time you didn't have before. I mean, we wear busy as a badge of honor in North America, don't we? How are you doing? I'm very busy. How's it going? Oh, I'm still very busy. Right? We all are so busy. And legitimately, we realized just how busy we were when all of a sudden we couldn't go on vacation. We couldn't plan that reunion with our families. Some of you may have been happy about that. Yeah. And, so not everything that stopped was bad. Let's just acknowledge that. We're all friends here. We can acknowledge that. But even things like, anyone here raising kids at home? Yeah. Raise your hands in the air if you feel more relaxed right now. Yes, yeah. So you probably didn't have to spend as much time in cold hockey arenas and in those very smelly gymnastics rooms and, taking your kids to competitions. Having those windows of time where you could think about things. This was really the great revelation. And from what Dr. James Hollis, a psychoanalyst, he calls a meeting with ourselves. Unbeknownst to all of us, we were having a meeting with ourselves in those moments where we had windows of time. It created insights about what was most important. Every one of us in this room have gotten clear, right? Have you thought to yourself over the last couple of years, what do I want to do? What do I like? What do I want to start doing again that perhaps I couldn't do for a while, such as go to the gym or, that whole tap dancing thing, that's a legit thing, Tom. In fact, you and I wish that we could do that together. I think that'd be fun. We're going to do a tap dance battle. Yes. Did you bring your tap shoes? I knew you would have brought your tap shoes. Yeah. I mean, that was something that I missed, and we started doing again. So we realized the things where we want to spend our time. We also are thinking about who do we want to spend our time with. We're making choices about partners and living arrangements and friends and you remember how you laughed about the family reunion? You may not be going back after this point. You're like, why are we still doing this? And everybody else is like, why are we even doing this? And so how does this impact from a work standpoint? Because people are thinking about, where do I want to spend my time? Which colleagues earn their way into my life? Which ones actually deplete my world? And they're making very strategic choices, even without saying, I'm going to sit back and do a insight journal. I'm going to do a gratitude journal. This is not like the Oprah moments where everyone's got this structured evaluation reflection sort of time, right? No offense to Oprah, but we kind of got this. We are naturally on this reflective journey. And the great news is, because all of you care so much about your people, is that this is now an opportunity for tapping right into that reflective time that people have. And this can be the great transformation. Because here's what we know now. We look at the Great Resignation as people are on their way out the door. And I want to invite you to think about, how do they come to you and they stay and they opt into you every day? Because they know the grass is not greener somewhere else. They want to work somewhere where they matter. And they matter with you. So this is one of the best times that you can be in helping people to understand the value proposition to their life by working in this industry and working with you. So on an ongoing loop, people have in their head, should I stay or should I go? Yeah, yes, I see a nod. So some of you are like, yeah, I've heard it actually. Some people sing it in the bathroom, yes. Well, the good news is, when they look at, Conference Board of Canada actually recently asked CEOs, what's the most important thing that you have done that has helped to retain people? Number one thing that they found out is flexible work. Well, hello, flexible organizations. Whether people are working remotely, people are working hybrid, and you have embraced as a community to say, what should we do? Should we give up our leases? Should we, sell our buildings? Should we all come back to work? What works for us? That's exactly what employees are saying they need you to do. And I want to commend you because I have the fortune of speaking for many industries. There are people who are still, no, I had to commute for the last 20 years. Everyone else has too. Well, how's that working for you? Yeah. You could be right, or you could actually have people who are happy. So the point is, you've already landed at the top of the very first trend. The other thing I think we need to appreciate and understand that a micro trend that started before COVID that has only continued is that in fact, people can start their own business within half an hour. So if during your time that you had off or as you've been, thinking about what brings you meaning and spirit, and you've been crocheting or making salted herbs or whatever, I don't know, I'm not crafty, so I'm having, insert craft here. Yeah, so whatever your craft is, that's what I'm talking about, yes. People can open up their own store. You're not stuck with selling it, finding a store to buy it. You're not stuck with then that store only having that group of people. You could sell to anyone all around the world. You could do what you love and sell to anyone around the world. And the amazing thing that provides people is another outlet. They now have a second revenue stream. So if you're wondering why you usually would have been able to put out let's say a call, we need more people to pick up a few shifts. And you're thinking, why aren't people picking up shifts? They may be busy crocheting. Yeah. So in other words, it's not that we're competing for people across different call management organizations. We're competing with people across industries, and for the first time ever, we're competing with the employee themselves. Now, again, the great news is, in terms of the transformation, is you have a huge heart. You want to connect in with your people. In fact, Dana was sharing how one of the most brilliant strategic insights they had at their strategic plan was that the more you get to know your people, that is like fundamental, right, to your strategy, fundamental. So if you know that this is a passion place for somebody, how do you create a little, let's say, seed money pot? How do you, let's say, decide you're going to pay the $20, $30 a month for somebody to have a Shopify site and say, we're 100% behind you. In fact, you can crochet some Alliance pot holders and we'll give them it out at our next appreciation event. Yes, we support you, we're behind you. So be here, be present, be engaged for as long as we have you. And we want to fuel your passion. And this is how these trends come together as an incredible opportunity. Because do you think anybody else that they might work for cares that they love that, let alone are willing to help them? So as we look at these trends, we also realize things that we should have always paid attention to, like bullying, incivility. People are 10 times more likely to leave an employer if they have even one person in their workplace that's bullying them, even if they can make a bit more money staying where they are. They are game changer, that's it, I'm out of here, and they will do it very quickly. Unfortunately, they may do it before we even know that there's a problem. And then the other piece is so many people went back to college and university. So again, so many of you have ways you support flexible hours, perhaps you have tuition reimbursement, perhaps you have a tuition or a textbook fund. Think about somebody that you know has a 3-year program, and they're great. They pick up the weekend shifts that are hard to fill, they're just amazing on the phone, and you think, oh man, I only have them for 3 years. What if you say, you know what, we're so passionate about the fact that you're going and you're learning how to be a nurse. We're so passionate about that, we want to pay for your textbooks. How do you think they're going to feel about you for the rest of their career? Rest of their career. Do you think that they'll go and they'll talk to all of their colleagues and all of their friends and all the people throughout the rest of their life? I got through university with the help of my employer. Really? Who was that? It was I-24. Oh, what's I-24? And then they go to the new website and they're like, oh, this Gary guy with the bobbing head on his website, that's really cool. Wow, he's fun. I think I'm going to follow him on Instagram. And before you know it, he's got tons of followers. You see how this goes? Yeah. In all seriousness, if people are already looking at, should I stay or should I go? Let's find out why they would go. And let's find a reason to be part of their story as to why we make it enriching here and now. And by the way, we've always competed with these creatures. Notice they don't have teenagers on there, because some of us who are homeschooling are like, oh, I'll work more just to not be a teacher. What other shifts do you have during, when are you doing your math class? What other shifts do you have in the mornings between 11 and 12:30? Yeah. But we actually have seen more people take a break from work to raise their children that wouldn't have, perhaps, had they not had this great revelation. So the fact that you have adaptability and flexibility in your industry can work beautifully for people who are looking for the opportunity to choose to opt into balance. And I don't mean work-life balance like this, like this mysterious concept of work-life balance. People are very clear now what balance looks like. You can deal with things that you understand, right? If people are clear and more discerning and decisive about, this is what I need. So on the surface, it's like, oh, are you going to tell me how I'm running my organization now? Or it could be, okay, well, now I know. And I wonder if other people feel the same way. In other words, by understanding what is important, this is the way to feed and fuel that person's success, not simply at work and in life. Have you ever worried over this last couple of years about somebody's mental health that works for you? Anyone? Yes, exactly. By asking yourself this question, what is important to them? Another thing that you're doing is, how can I help their mental health? Here's what I can tell you with absolute certainty. Work may be the place where people feel the greatest sense of security and safety and connection and passion and have that dopamine hit of, I got something done today, even if it's in their pajamas. Yeah, in fact, elastic is fantastic, right? So this is a good thing. This is a great thing. They get to produce and be in stretchy pants. It's a win-win for everybody. But really, in all seriousness, do you sometimes think about that? I wonder if we actually are helping people's mental health by giving people safety and security and stability. Can you think of somebody right now that you think, yeah, I don't think they have any of that stability and safety and security and know that they're valued in your workplace? So the more in which you are who you are, the more you're filling a need. In other words, we don't have to think about work from the perspective of work's something we have to do, and we're just trying to get through it until the end of my shift or until the end of the weekend or the end of my block of shifts. For many people right now who are still in crisis, you may be their safe place to land. Isn't that exciting? Isn't that empowering to know that you make that kind of an imprint and a difference in people's lives? You're not just putting food on their table and helping them pay their massive mortgage now. You also may be the safest, most secure place for people. In other words, we can use the Great Resignation as the comeback. We get a chance to work and partner with our clients to figure out what is the way in which we're gonna come back strong and continually iterate so that it is truly centric for the organization's benefit, is the employee's benefit, and vice versa. And of course, all of us as leaders in between as well. In other words, we are no longer in the business of hiring staff. Every day, we're in the business of earning them. Everything that we do, every time we check in, every time we make eye contact and we smile, every time we are sitting in a leadership room and we say, what are people doing that's important to them? How might we help to make that happen? Even if it isn't a monetary way, even if it isn't changing schedules, the fact that you're doing that earns them every day. And that's the intention that we're talking about in the Great Resignation. And so why we keep coming back to this place of recognition is it's the easiest way to show people that we're earning them and we care about them and that we value them and we want them to come back every time. And because it's needed, and we saw that, right? We saw that in that massive organic. Nobody told us as a worldwide global response to COVID that people need to feel appreciated, to be able to keep doing that work. We know we need it, we saw it. Number two, it's easy. We're gonna reinforce things about what you're no doubt already doing to encourage us to think about, it's not another thing to do, it's how we already do our work, and maybe even bringing back some things that you did and finding new ways of doing it if in fact you have a largely remote or hybrid work environment. And the other thing, it's universal. This is the great connector across your organization. Whether you are brand new, you have been there for 30 years, you are the owner, you are somebody who's working part-time, every single person needs it so you can relate to every single person in the organization. And people want to feel a greater sense of connection. That's part of what we know is the challenge with mental health, is that people are not feeling the same sense of connection to people and to activities and to passions. They want to be connected to you. And every time you recognize them, it's a way of deepening that connection. And in fact, because you're such a connected community, thank you, Tom and People Praise, you provided these compliment cards that are sitting on your table. And I invite you to connect with each other through giving each other compliments throughout this conference. You'll see there's a whole range of them from, for example, you combine creativity with practicality. Do you not live that? I mean, is that not the epitome of the journey you've been on over the last 2.5 years? Creative and practical at the same time? So here's my challenge to you, and you can tell me if you're willing to accept it. Every one of the cards on your tables and any table around the room, would you be willing to make sure that all of them have been distributed to amazing people here at CAMX, whether your closest colleagues, new people you've met, or even on your pub night tonight? Will you give these compliments to each other and remind each other how amazing you each other are? What do you think? Are you game? We're game, yes. We're game. I love it. I love it. Everybody, you're going to make sure you're going to get some of those cards, all right? Yeah, I love it. So, so we're going to do a little bit of CPR. And we're going to start from the perspective of care. And I know you care about each other. I know you care about your folks. We're going to get very intentional about what that looks like right now. We may need to do a little bit of preparing, because if there's something that we've learned through this time, it's not like we needed to prepare for COVID as if there was a course. Could you imagine if you had gone to Coach U and they'd be like, the next pandemic, how to prepare for a pandemic in the call management sector? Wouldn't that have been amazing? Yeah, but you know what? We can't predict the future, which is why we want to be prepared. And then of course, repair. There may be things that you want to tweak, some things that you know aren't quite where they need to be. So I want to share with you some ideas about how to do that. First, let's nerd it out with some data. Are you like, yes, I was waiting for this slide. Please give me a graph already. Yes. Harvard Business Review just recently did a survey with employees, a massive surveys with employees. And one of the key things they're trying to measure is post-COVID, I know air quotes, post-COVID, how engaged are people? And what they did is they noticed that the bottom 10% of the people, the leaders that they rated as the least likely to recognize, compared to the top 10% of those who are the most likely to recognize, had drastically different engagement in their employees. So if you're wondering, like, what is it about, if you're sitting there, what is it about me that's so magical? I mean, I keep thinking about it and talking about it, but I'm just wondering, this is one of the reasons why you are amazing. Because people are willing and want to give their discretionary effort, their ideas. They're able to contribute because you know them and who they are and what they're good at and that they matter. So we actually have a reason to validate that you are going to get better outcomes from your folks, new ideas. What does engagement look like? What do you experience as the benefits when you see somebody who's really engaged at work? What are some of the benefits you experience? Positive attitude. More productive. I heard more productive. Ideas. Exactly. Yeah. What else? Cascades the inspiration. Brings other people up. Isn't that nice that it's not all on your shoulders? brings other people in. Goosebumps again. And that's not a temperature thing. That's a Gary thing. That's a Gary thing right there. Yes, brings other people in. So we can see that there is a reason that this isn't just a nice to do. It's a need to do. Can you afford to not have ideas and bring people in, positive attitude, and bring people on? You can't. Who would want to run a call management organization like that? And not to mention the fact that productivity was one thing that so many of you mentioned. Productivity is fundamental. See, idea, bing, right? That was a literal reinforcement of how important that was. Yes, sound effects. So we can have people who are on the job retired or on the job inspired. And we heard the word inspired. You said the word inspired. Thank you for setting this up, by the way. You didn't know that you were doing it. Yeah. See partners here? This is great. Yeah. Do you have some folks that are on the job retired? Are you? This is the part. Yeah, not really on the job. So you're on the job retired, and you're emotionally retired, and you're not physically there. So that is actually true retirement. Yes. Yeah. You probably know that already. Yes. Yeah. So you know what I mean by on the job retired, right? Yeah. Are you thinking of somebody right now? Isn't that weird that I knew that you were thinking about that person right now? Yeah, we all know what that is. So imagine if, in fact, we could take even some of those people who at the moment are the least engaged to make them, and I'm not saying we're trying to make inspired, like, oh, they're going to be, teamed with Oprah on her podcast. That's not what I'm talking about with inspired. What we're talking about is things like generating ideas, feeling a greater sense of connection, willing to recognize, build up a colleague. They bring a more positive attitude. And remember, we go back to that point around this may be the safest place for people to land. They want to be inspired at work. They don't want to see it as a negative place. So the more in which we make sure that people feel valued, the more like that can happen. So let's do a little social experiment here. Okay? As my friend Tom read you, I'm a psychology nerd. So you're like, oh gosh. What's she got planned? Don't worry, nobody was harmed in the making of this social experiment. At least not yet, so we'll see. Yeah, okay, what I invite you to do is to pull out your cell phone, or as my husband calls it, the texting machine. So pull out your smartphone, your cell phone. Take a look in your text, your messages. Thank you. I just showed my age there. I couldn't. Bill's like, yeah, I saw that. Yeah. So take a look and find somebody on that list, a work contact, that you're like, you are freaking awesome. Like, you are so great. And send them a text right now why you appreciate them. Yeah. So send them a text right now, a work colleague, work friend, a contact. It could be in your organization. It could be a supplier. It could be somebody that outside of your organization. Send them a little message of appreciation, a little text. And if you're like, oh, I'm on a roll, I think I'm going to send one to this person, this person. Okay, first person who gets a response, say, Sarah. Okay, I'm hearing some beeps in here, so I'm guessing there's some acknowledgement that's happening across the room. All right, so yeah, has anyone received a reply yet? You've received a reply already? But you're at a conference. People are texting you at a conference? Do you mind reading the reply that you got?
You're such a fantastic person. You make work enjoyable.
Oh, you're such a do you feel good about that? You're not even at work and you're making work enjoyable for people. That's awesome. And you got a text back, my friend? Yes. Yes? Well, do you feel comfortable reading it? Okay. You're a star. Yeah, totally. We had somebody, you guys are, you're at like a really high functioning table here. So make sure you level up. Okay? Just no pressure. Yeah. And yes, what was your reply? What did the reply say? Ah, yeah. I love it. So good. So good. We had a hand up over here. Yes? Thank you. I needed that motivation today. Did you hear that? Thank you. I needed that motivation today. What can you hypothesize will be the impact of receiving that text at, what time is it? Well, Eastern Standard Time, it's almost 9:30. What do you think the impact for your colleague, shall we give them a real name or a pretend name? Andy. What's the impact for Andy, do you think, today for making, they really needed to hear that? What do you think? Any impact? I'm like, nah. Yeah. What will the impact, do you think, be?
Huge. That person's excited.
Yes.
Someone actually thought of me.
Ah, somebody actually, use the word actually, somebody actually thought of me. That makes me have sad goosebumps. Like, there are people walking around today possibly feeling like, is anybody even thinking about me? Sad, right? Yeah, so somebody's actually thinking about me. Do you think they're more likely to live into your highest expectation? Yes, absolutely. So we, by all means, we need to do performance measures, we need to have metrics, like absolutely, we measure what matters. And it's also a qualitative component to this as well. How do we measure what matters in a qualitative manner? In other words, through what people say. I saw you, Tim. What time do you call this? I'm just kidding. You're awesome. Yeah. Everybody send Tim a text that says, "Thanks so much for joining us." No, I'm just teasing. I love Tim. You'll be able to tell. I got you, Tim. We all love you. Yeah. So in that short, again, what were we talking about before Tim got in? What is the point? You just made some people on the job inspired. How long did that take you to send that text? Seconds. And unless your data plan is terrible, it was free. Yes. By the way, you might want to get a new data plan if you're to be in charge for that text. Yes. And it kind of goes back to that frame, nobody cares what you know unless they know that you care. So new policies that are implemented and guidelines and expectations and all the things that are required to be able to deliver amazing service, to be able to keep up with provincial and federal expectations and the other pieces that inform your industry and that you have to hold true as leaders. You can't just be like, you know what, we're just gonna let people kind of call the shots around here. You have a lot of expectations of what you need to manage. And so how do we make it a both and? And this is where people need to know that it's not just about those, it's also about them. I'll give you an example of when this becomes, things can turn south real quickly. And this is my daughter. In one of our many, I called it our rainy day savior activities. We lived in a small town, and I had 2 small children at the time. They're huge children now, but anyway, at the time, if you know what it's like, again, many people have their hands up, when it's a rainy day and the kids are here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't have to finish the sentence. And everyone is squirrely. And you think, how is it possible it's only 8:30 in the morning? And you need to find something. And it's not just parents, right? It's if you've ever, grandparents, aunts, uncles, you're like, wow, these cousins of mine are awful. I can't wait to give them back. So you have to find something to do. And we would always go to our local Burger King. And because they had the slide structure. You know those playrooms? We've all passed them and went, ooh, I wish I wasn't a grown-up. Those look fun. Although when you get into them, they're like a little germ fest. And the handle's like covered in ketchup and sticky. And of course, you're just trying to pretend like for a moment that you're not about to fill your kids with trans fat and salt. Because I mean, it's balanced. It's potatoes, a vegetable, and you got the carb. So, but this is your savior. I have a very positive association of Burger King because they literally saved our household a few times. Not everyone feels the same way. In fact, there was a gentleman who had 27 years of perfect attendance. And he decided to post a picture on his small social network that said, this is how much it's worth if you have 27 days of perfect attendance. And he held up this bag. Hopefully he's not allergic to peanuts. And it has a bunch of swag. So $27 of swag. He already basically wears swag. It's called a uniform. So I don't think he wants any more swag. And a bag of candy. And then it hit viral. Not only all over from a social media viral standpoint, all of the newspapers were all over this because they're like, ooh, how much money did you make, Burger King? Actually, can you take a guess how much money they made last year, Burger King? Billions. $23.5 billion. $27, $23 billion. $27, $23 billion. Because that's what we think, right? Really? Is that all somebody's worth? And now we all know it probably started very well-meaning, right? Somebody thought the entrepreneur or the franchise owner or perhaps like a shift supervisor thought, I want to make it special. They probably stopped before work and they got the candy and they looked in the closet and like, we've got some things and like, hey, thanks so much. He didn't see it that way. Now, before any of you think, this is a candy hater we've got on the stage. I don't like her. I'm pro-candy. Let me give you an example of candy done well. Alliance at the beginning, I'm looking at you. Alliance at the beginning of COVID were so grateful for how much people had to adapt and evolve and be able to work remotely that they picked 3 types of candy, not 1, not 2, 3 different types of candy, and they put in these really cute boxes with this lovely note on it. And not only that, the leaders dropped it off at people's houses. Yeah.
I kept the note.
You kept the note! See what I mean? That's so powerful. Where's your note right now?
It's in my book that I keep for Alliance.
Book that you keep for Alliance. Yeah. And do you ever look at it? Yeah? And what do you do? When do you look at it?
I'm grateful I work for this company.
Bam. Bag of candy. Done better than this. This dude, he probably threw out his candy in the garbage because like, really? No. Whereas you kept yours. Yeah. And now Brad shared with me a funny story that one of the houses he went to, somebody opened the door like, Mom, some weird guy from work's here. So. And I'm sure that was not your weird. Yeah, just the one, which was, I guess, a win, right? Just the one. Yeah, well, maybe it was just the one.
Oh, yeah, hope so.
I hope so. Yeah, sometimes you don't hear at the door. Yeah, one bold child told you and the other ones talked about it at dinner. Yes, but what an impact that makes, right? Do people normally talk about how awesome their employer is at the dinner table? Was that dinner table conversation about the weird boss or even the non-weird boss view? No, in all seriousness though, they got a chance to enjoy that with their parent. This is part of, I think, the innovation. Remember, we talked about transformative. How can we transform? How can we evolve? How can we think differently about the things that we do? And people, as a result, will hold on to it. They'll still talk about it. They'll think about it. Probably nobody in that employee's life. And that's why the family was like, what's happening at the door? This person coming to the door. First of all, nobody's coming to anybody's door. Even the Amazon person just leaves and just runs real fast, back to the car. It's somebody actually knocked on the door. Whoa, what's happening? Is that a knock? I haven't heard a knock since 1983. What's happening right now? So it makes an impact. And this is where the exponential power of recognition is people can remember it. It's surprising. It's different. It's not part of the to-do list that we have to do. We spend on average in Canada $139 per full-time employee on recognition. Do you know what the number one spend is on recognition in Canada? Take a guess. And it's not candy. That's just a little spoiler alert. It's not candy. Yeah. Pardon? Pizza. What? Pizza. Oh my God, that would be so great. No, I don't think we can eat that much pizza, but that's a better idea than what they do. Anyone else? Number one spend. Oh, that's become the thing, isn't it, right? Because everyone shops at Amazon. Yeah, it's not, but it probably will be soon. Yeah. It's long service awards. People go, oh, yeah. Is it a bit of off-brand now? Wouldn't it be great to have such a huge number of people who've worked for the organization for so long that you can have this? What would be a length of time that you're like, I'm so glad we kept them this long? What's a length of time for you, realistically, that you'd be thrilled to have that as your number, that people consistently last this long? What's your number? 10 years? A year? Yep. Hey, girl, we're getting real. I love it. Yeah, 1 year. What else? We've got 1 to 10. Everyone's in between? Yeah. Long service sometimes doesn't start until 10. So we've already missed all of those other folks. And if you picture yourself, you're the latest person you hired. And be like, so welcome here to amazing call management organization, Banana. Because, by the way, that name's up for grabs. I don't think it's been taken yet. Call management organization, Banana. We're really looking forward to you being here. And in 10 years, we're going to give you a stabby pin and a dinner. People be like, well, sign me up for 10 years. I can get down with that. Thank you, Banana. I love this organization, right? So we have to, it's not that we shouldn't be doing these wonderful appreciation events. We just maybe have to go back to the drawing board and look at it. It worked beautifully when we retain people, sometimes for life. And maybe then they brought their family, and it was a referral by referral. And by the way, your employees are an army of recruiters. So maybe that's part of what we begin to celebrate in long service. It's committed service. It's loyalty. You've probably already started doing this, shifting some of the terminology that you're using. Rather than calling it a long service, maybe it's loyalty. Maybe it's the rock star awards, like whatever sort of fits for you. Like, I am important. You can have that one for free. Yeah. And here's the thing that we need to remember, is we often spend our money on rewards. It's rewards and recognition. Rewards extrinsically motivate. They are outside the person and they say, keep doing this behavior. This is what we need. This is what we expect. Burger King extrinsically rewarded attendance as soon as they handed over the goodie bag. Do you think that that person who had been coming in every single day, not missing a single shift for 27 years was like, one day, they're going to give me something for this? Do you think that he was more motivated for himself? Maybe he grew up in a family where it's, you work hard. Well, and I know you work hard, so probably your family did put that. Yes, yes, exactly. There are reasons why we do things that are important to us, right? Think of, what are some of the things that are values that you hold dear, that are really important to you? What are they? Honesty. What else? Kindness. Loyalty. What else? Authenticity. So imagine if all of a sudden you made the authenticity and the loyalty and the kindness externally reinforced. What happens when you don't reinforce it the next time? Is kindness a commodity? Do I pay for loyalty? So it's not that we can't do both. It's just we want to be careful that we haven't incentivized people's greatness that they bring to the table, because that is who they are at their best. Absolutely, this is who we are as an organization. This is what we believe in. So if kindness is trickled throughout your culture and it is everything you do, then by all means, kindness, incentives, rewards, the pizza parties for the team that was nominated as the kindest team, the kindest call, got the Amazon gift card. By all means, that's great, because your cultural anchor makes it very clear we are kind people. And we do kind things, and we want to, every time we see kind things and big kind things, we want to recognize. As soon as we start to incentivize people who do things because it matters to them, then it sort of creates a disconnect that maybe I'm doing this for them then, and not necessarily for me. And it's not that we can't come back from this. We just have to be very careful and mindful about getting the balance of rewards and recognition. Now, you may be thinking, if 95% of organizations, according, again, Conference Board of Canada, have a rewards and recognition program in place, and we've talked about some of the things that need to change, you may be thinking, well, so then how do we do the rewards part, or how do we do the recognition part better? Now, you beautifully mentioned how you took this gift and you cut out that sign and you have it in your notes. Does anyone else have something that you hold on to as a reminder of how somebody has seen your greatness? Some people will be framing your texts, so that they may actually legitimately screen capture, keep your text. But what are some of the other things you've done to hold on to acknowledgements that you've received? Anyone hold on to those? Yeah. Yeah, handwritten notes from your president. And you're like, well, this is not reducing our carbon footprint. Recycle that. I mean, honestly. No, do you hold on to it? Yeah. Do you look at it? Yeah. In fact, you may look at it when you need it most. Yeah. Gary, did you have your hand up? No? No, I don't know. You keep that hand right where it is. It's perfect. Yes. Yeah. What do you do? Yeah.
Every year we get recognized for our core values. And so I've received integrity and fun, and they're up in my office.
I love it. Integrity and fun, that is a delicious combination. I love that. We can rely on her, and she's awesome while she's doing it. Yeah, that's so great. And you keep it, and you keep it up in your office. So here, right. But you're gonna. So there you go. That's how important it is. You're like, okay, first thing, hook up internet. 2, put up kudos. Yeah. And I've even heard of people who bring their cards and they put them front and center. They shove all the kids' artwork to the side and they put it front and center. And that way the next time they debate at dinner, oh, well, I don't know, Mom, you're not fair. You'd be like, oh, no, actually, I just received the Integrity Award. And you know how you guys think I'm not fun? I'm also fun. Yeah. Mr. Tim.
I have a watercolor painting from a friend who lives her values that sits in my front entry. I got that from you.
What? Stop it. Yeah, it's front entry. I'm so glad. And you know what? My mom made it for Tim. Yes, yes. So here, whatever that thing is that you do, and again, you had that beautiful example with the text where people say, you don't know how much I needed it. The power of doing something like writing a thank you card, sending a text, putting words, literal words to your acknowledgement means that when somebody needs it in the future, they know that you've got their back. In fact, they may, let's say they're going back to school and they've moved on and they've gone to another career and they've moved offices again and you're like, I'm gonna get to that, I'll put it up, I just haven't got to it yet. When they need it most, they may pull it out and perhaps they don't even really remember much about the organization or the context of where they received this, but it was important enough for them to keep it. So if you have staff members who are struggling, or colleagues, peers who are struggling, encourage them to go and look at their thank yous. It may be electronic thank yous that they have in a folder, it could be text, it could be written thank yous. It actually is an insulator against burnout and stress, and it helps people to feel less anxious about their performance because they have documentation that they have performed well and that they're great and that they matter. I-24, you were so committed to this that you took your physical kudos board, and then when you had to move to be able to do this, this amazing work remotely, you found a way within a week to make it a communication tool in your internal systems. And then not only that, you turned it into videos. And did you initially have them hidden and now they're public? Or they were always public? They're public, yeah. So think about, you have somebody who is looking to decide, should I have a call management service? I've never worked with one before, I don't know what they're all about, but they stumble upon your video with all of these acknowledgements of staff. Do you think that may be the final, that they're like, you know what, maybe I will give them a call? It's a recruitment tool, right, of great customers as well. And not only that, it's that continual iteration. And I love this example of how now as new staff start, you send them a little gift. I love how you done. Yeah, you guys are so proud of this. I love the, I feel giddiness happening at this table. Yeah, where you send people a kit, don't you, with a mouse pad and, so that they feel excited. Have you ever, before COVID or during whatever, have you ever received a goodie bag with a personalized note, thanking you for choosing to join an organization? Anyone here receive that?
I got flowers.
You got flowers?
I was the only man joining an all-woman law firm. Because they wanted me to know they didn't discriminate.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, they turned out to be horrible.
Can I just, thank you for saying that, because I was feeling like a horrible person up here thinking, lawyers, really? But yeah. I'm sorry that they were horrible people. Yeah, yeah. But they knew legislatively they needed to make sure you knew they weren't going to discriminate so you wouldn't sue them. So I think that maybe was what the flowers was about. Yeah, yeah. No, that's so cool. Flowers, see? Noteworthy. I love it. We had another hand up over here.
We got asked what our favorite type of cake was before we started, and then the day we started, we each got our own cake, like full cake. Okay.
Stop it. Wow, that's awesome. Is this an Extend? This is Extend. Shout out to our are amazing extents. Yeah, Dana, you had your hand up? Or just being in support? Yeah, love the idea. This is Dana's love the idea gesture. But we all know that. Yeah, I love it. Full support of the idea. Yeah. So we can think about if we talked about 1 year. I'd be like, if everybody gets to 1 year, I'd be so happy. What can we do before the year to make people feel so committed that they don't doubt that they made the right choice? And so that they keep looking for, ooh, I wonder when the next cake or flowers or mouse pad is coming. Yeah, and we strategically timed it. I mean, you giving that as a welcome is beautifully timed. If it were, let's say, after you've been there for a while and be like, oh, now I get the equipment to do my job. Oh, okay, I guess I'll start using it now. So it's about being intentional, and that's what makes people feel that they're important and that they matter. Now, I do want to acknowledge the elephant in the room, and that is money. It all comes back to money, doesn't it? And you may be thinking, like, what's money got to do with it? People are like, how much do we pay her to stop singing? Yes, yeah, how much money do I have to pay to make that stop? It's a legitimate question, right? Because people are not called volunteers, they're called employees, they're called leaders. So, like, you're not like, oh, is she gonna tell us we get to stop paying people? That'll help a lot, yeah. But the thing is, the paycheck, everyone gets one of those. We can't really compete on that, especially when you have only a certain window that you can pay. And so again, all the things we're talking about is the differentiator. Remember how I spoke earlier about people will leave a job even if they get paid more, as long as they're in a psychologically safe environment where they're not bullied? You have people where you don't have to necessarily compete on money. You're competing on value to people's lives. And so what an incredible opportunity to say, what does a great experience look like where money is part of the deal, but really it's not the deal? Now, I will say, let me take a step back. I will say that anyone who makes under $50,000 a year in Canada, we do find that things like gift cards and bonuses and incentives, that has a big impact. And that makes sense, right? That may be the difference between somebody being able to buy new shoes for their kids or have to go to Valley Village. Absolutely, for sure. If you have a lower economic situation, this matters very much. It's after, and again, there's a few different sort of numbers, but a number on average over 50,000, it's where this matters less. So therefore, other things matter more. One of the ways in which we can try to understand this is ask people what matters most to them. Here's a little experiment that we did, and it's related to a tool. Hold on, let me give you a quick second. Is to look at this. Many of you have seen me talk about asking people, how do you want to be recognized? And it's been such a powerful strategy of building that connection that we've actually turned it into a 2-page tool. Now, if you want it, you're welcome to have it, greatnessmagnified.com. It's underneath cool stuff. If you've been using it and you want the 2.0 version, you can download it. By all means, you feel free to use it. And here's the interesting thing that we find, is that yes, there's a lot of commonality. This is an example from a not-for-profit, a frontline not-for-profit that has a terrible turnover situation right now. Look at the difference. To what extent do you like private or public recognition, personal or team-oriented, expected or surprising, feels good, financially good? They were surprised that so many people liked it in a surprise. And they went, wow, that would be great. So they've totally untangled some of the things that they used to do that were structured because they thought people wanted structured. People want to have fun. They need to talk to you to have some fun, yes. And also financially good. So the feels good people, you know what they want? They want, instead of giving me that gift card, I want you to donate that money to my favorite charity. So those 5 people at the bottom now have an opportunity for their feel-good internal motivation to go to the thing that matters most to them. But they didn't know that, and they couldn't evaluate it if they didn't ask. So you may ask through conversation, it doesn't have to be through a tool. However, what's interesting is they've decided to make sure everybody in the organization fills it out, and every team receives each other's results. So if, let's say you're doing a shout out of a colleague and this person prefers private, like they're so on the private side, it's that poor little person right over there almost like falling off the private side, that they don't get inadvertently embarrassed by it being a public form of recognition. Small little things. And it also, by knowing these things, it helps us to prepare for how to manage the next version. Dana and I, Rockstar Dana and I, are going to talk about the power of breaking down your employee experience and understanding it through the different phases. So if your best hope is 1 year, how do we get to the point of engaging people enough so it's 1 year? For some of you, it may be 10 years, right? Somebody else mentioned 10 years. We may be looking all the way to perform. This is Gallup's lens of helping us to understand that oftentimes we have one size fits all. And you may not have that right now. At one point in time, possibly, in your organization, recognition looked like one thing. And that's what, when I was giving you the example of the employee long service, I've worked with some organizations that's the only formal thing that they do, and they put all their money in. And it's fancy. But only a few people, all the people at the front end of it, miss the boat. They don't get a chance to experience it and benefit from it. So we'll come back to this. A little teaser to come back to our breakout session, right, Dana? Yes, yes. I think this helps to understand our quiet quitting phenomenon. Anyone been reading about this? Anyone fretting about this? Yeah, I see lots of people's hands up. Yes. Here's the thing that we know about quiet quitting. And this goes back to that. Remember we talked about on-the-job retired, on-the-job inspired? It's another way of saying quiet quitting. Are people giving their full selves? Are they giving as much effort and energy as they can? Now, we may think that there are many reasons people can't give as much as they could. However, imagine if we didn't assume that people have less available since COVID than they had before. What if, in fact, they have more? Because perhaps this is the place that they feel the greater sense of connection and meaning and contribution and clarity. So perhaps, in fact, we have people who desperately don't want to be quiet quitting. They simply want to know where they fit into the bigger picture. And that's where recognition, specific, timely, intentional recognition, whether it be personalized to that one person in a specific, unique way, or cool new traditions like a customized cake, or a gift pad with a note, and a note that goes at particular points in time, such as the Candygram run. That's how we're all going to know it now, the Candygram run. What you do, it can be responsive to the quiet quitting you're seeing. Another tool that you can access on greatnessmagnified.com underneath cool stuff is a stay interview. Is anyone doing stay interviews? Yes, I see arms right up. Yes. Yeah. If you're only doing exit interviews, I invite you to consider this. Take all of your energy, or even half of the time you put towards exit interviews, and put them towards stay. I see you nodding your heads. I can feel the draft from here, sister. Tell us why you're doing stay interviews and the impact.
So, the last 3 years, so the entire organization with alarm systems.
Yeah.
So I started to do the orientations, and it's my connection with them at the very beginning. Then I do the stay interview 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and a year. Then actually after that, then I meet with them probably 1 or twice a year, and it's amazing. Full hour.
Wow.
All sorts of things about work, but connect with them on a personal level, and there's a connection that was never there before not doing this. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Amazing. What did you just hear from that delicious example of how you've embraced it wholeheartedly? That's awesome. What stood out for you? What was impactful for you? Relationship. What else? Connection. Personal, not just work. People want to be known as their whole selves. Absolutely. Personal, not just work. What else did you hear? Sorry? Input, yes. People want to. You mentioned input earlier. People get to have input on the success of the team, success of the company, your success too, right?
I love it. It's the best part of my job.
Oh, see the glowing? You feel the glowing like permeating here? Imagine like a tool and something that is structured as that can be the best part of your job. Yeah. People don't, we hear the trend all the time, and it's still true, that people leave bosses, they don't leave jobs. And part of it is, it's not just that they leave a bad boss. some of what we've started to see as we've been digging into this is they leave a boss who they don't feel that they matter to that boss. It's not just that the boss is a mean boss, it's that if they don't feel a sense of connection there, then they're like, my boss, not gonna miss me. I can go anywhere. There's bosses everywhere. There's a boss, there's a boss, there's a boss. He looks like a boss. No, if he's a boss, they're a boss. Yeah. And so if we want to combat quiet quitting, we need to try innovative strategies like that. So I invite you to think about, what do you not know about why people are leaving? Whatever you don't know, they want to tell you. Stay interviews are one way to be able to understand that. You could do anything, but you could do other versions, right? Have team meeting drop-ins, have an idea exchange, use the thought exchange app to create ideas. And there's just, the possibilities are endless. And in fact, this is part of why you'll want to tune into Dana's conversation with us about the amazing work that they have been doing to be able to keep tuning into and course correcting and adapting. I really want to emphasize how powerful the quiet quitting movement is as an opportunity, because every article, and I've been paying attention, I don't know if you have too, every article I've read, it's negative. Oh, well, we all see possibilities where other people see problems. And so this is an amazing, this is people saying, I want to tell you if you want to know. And you now know a lot of things that you didn't know before, right? And it's almost another way of looking at the circle of influence. I know we've all heard it a million times. You're like, oh my gosh, Stephen Covey, circle of concern. Well, I want to deepen this and say it's actually the circle of focus. Here are 3 ways you get focused on what we need to do most. Number 1, what do I know how to do? You've got so many things coming at you. Are you not exhausted sometimes? If it's not COVID and then it changes and then you've got regulations and then there's provincial this and then that's happening, and it's so hard to keep up. So instead of like all of those, it's about refocusing on, what do I know how to do? What are you good at? And other members of your leadership team, what are they good at? What do they know how to do? Because you have all of those pieces together when we put them together. Number 2, where is there a need? Is it all of my newer folks that need to feel a sense of connection? Is it a few folks that used to be really high performers, but I think that they're quiet quitting? Where is there a need to bring what you have and you do well to that person or those people? And how can I help? Maybe how you can help is, you know what, I'm going to say, you available for a quick Teams meeting, just check in? Maybe that's the way you help that particular day. Maybe another way you help is you want to plan a gathering. You're like, you know what, as we approach the holiday season, let's do a decorating contest for gingerbread houses. I think that'll help. It's hard to quantify what that help looks like. However, if your intuition says, this is what I know how to do, this has worked in the past, let's try this, what's the worst that can happen if you've already got people who are disengaged? Here's the other delicious benefit to all of this, is it builds accountability. Anyone ever think, why are people not behaving with greater accountability? Have you ever had that thought? No? Okay, that is so good. I knew I'd find an industry with no accountability issues. I knew it, I found it. So you know what, this slide's probably not important, but hypothetically, let's just talk accountability for a second. And we'll even break it down. Do you ever have somebody make an excuse? 1 or 2, I mean, once. The one time, right? Hard to remember, it was so long ago, yes. So when people are making excuses, when people are denying, or even if they're just waiting in hope, like, oh, I think we'll be able to get back to normal when all of this is over, as if all of this will ever be over. This is the sign, anything the bottom 4 rungs is lower accountability. As soon as we start to see people giving solutions, whether it be through a stay interview, through team meetings. Perhaps you start your team meeting. What's something you're grateful for? What's one thing that's better than the last time that we met? What's another department team or person that's really helped you? Ideas are more likely to come in the rest of your meeting because you started from a place of what is working and gratitude, as opposed to our team meeting agenda could be full of problem, update, problem, sneak in another problem, but make it sound like an update. Yeah. So starting that means that we're helping people up that accountability ladder. And part of the quiet quitting revolution is that people don't feel that they can have a voice in solutions. Either that they've told themselves, even if nobody's given them that indication that my voice doesn't matter, that I don't have a forum in which to share my ideas, or the forums, here's what might be the case, the forums that we used to use, we don't have them anymore. Or I do not feel comfortable in the forums we have now. And it's not that there's anything that's wrong, it's a matter of looking at other ways of doing what worked before. And we build greater accountability, and we are more likely to have people co-create solutions with us, which allows us to prepare and move forward. Here's an example of that. I worked with a client at the beginning of COVID where they had such a number of leadership vacancies, and they knew that they could not, as an essential service, get through with all these leadership vacancies. When they looked at that employee experience, they realized that it was the most unappealing organization to apply for. It was hard to find the job posting. It was very stern. If you want to work here, you're going to need to do a police record check. And then I'm sure that there wasn't actually a video that said this, but it was that kind of a vibe to it. So what they were finding is we need to make it a desirable thing to even apply to work here. And as soon as they made that one change, and here's the next change that they made, they would send a thank you card to every person who submitted a resume. And that works so well. Those two tiny changes, that works so well. Every phase of the employee application process, they send a thank you card. Now, they use a system that actually Dana and her team has started using too, called send out cards, where it's virtual because they're all remote. And so those thank you cards get sent real time, and anyone in the organization, whoever was responsible for that phase, could send it. Guess how many vacancies they had within 2 months of those leadership vacancies upon implementing this new approach? Zero. Wouldn't it be awkward if I said 10? That'd be so awkward, eh? That would have been a trick question, yeah. And you're on to me, you know those sometimes come out. Yeah, zero. They didn't pay them more. They didn't, give them a whole bunch of more equipment, or they made it appealing to put the resume in, and easy. And then they thanked people at every phase, because really we're using people's time, aren't we? That was one of the main things. Thank you for your time. Thank you for applying. I appreciate your time in the screening. Thank you for giving us and what they consistently said in the stay interviews, I have never felt so seen and valued and excited to join an organization. I've never received this many acknowledgements and touch points before I even started. Brains like hearts go where they're appreciated, and brains like hearts stay where they are appreciated. So let's talk about some repair. How are we doing for time? We're good. We're so good, right? We're good? Yes, we're good. We have all day. I'm here all day, folks. I don't know where that vaudeville thing just came from. Yeah. So let's talk about repair, because we've already acknowledged that there are some folks who are not feeling settled in their life, that there's a lot of things that they're struggling with. And not only that, but there may be some things at this point they realize, I think we want to go back as a leadership team and tweak a few things, which is awesome. That's why we're all here at a conference. Wouldn't it be bad if you went to a conference and be like, oh man, I knew all that stuff. Well, back to my life, right? So there may be some things that you're thinking, yes, I want to explore this with my team. I think we can do a bit of repair, cultural repair, coming back to some things that worked, maybe even supporting individuals to work on some things that are struggles for them. Here's a beautiful example of how outside eyes sometimes see this. My dear, dear friend Sonia that I went to high school with, we've been friends ever since. At 42 years old, she received devastating, completely shocking news, and that is that she had stage 3 breast cancer. And this was at the very beginning of 2020. Her first day of chemo was right around the time that COVID was announced in Canada. So her first, as you can imagine, her first two appointments that she's sitting in that chemo chair, not only is she feeling sick, but she's also feeling like, how is this possible? I'm healthy, I do everything right, I have small children, I feel like I've let my students down. She's a high school teacher. She runs the self-esteem program for girls at her school, and yet they've all gone virtual, so she feels like when they need me most, I'm not helping them with this virtual transition. Her husband's devastated, and nobody can be with her because it's COVID. So she's there by herself with all of these worries. It was about the end of her second chemo treatment that she started to look around and she noticed, every time my care providers or other people in the environment, like environmental services aides and housekeeping, they're very smiley and they're kind of have energy, and then as soon as they leave, the shoulders hunch and their head goes down and they walk away. And she thinks, I wonder if I could change that. So she sends me a text and she says, you have any of those kudos cards hanging around? Do I have kudos cards hanging around? I mean, they're in my purse, in my briefcase. I've shoved them in my kids' backpacks. I'm like, why do I have all these? I don't know, in case you want to frog somebody. I don't know. Yeah, but the point, yes. So I dropped off a box, and she brought a pen, and her whole 3-hour, 4-hour chemo appointment, every time she saw a glimmer of greatness. It could be a person, it could be an exchange, it could be another patient, and it could also be things that seem invisible. Those floors are clean. She'd write a card, man, these floors are clean. And she'd give them to the person working, the clerk, and say, can you figure out who needs to get these? Now, as you could probably imagine, she's like, oh, you want me to do what? Like, I need another thing to do. But then she looks at them and she says, oh yeah, no, that's Gloria. I'll give it to her. I can see her later. So then people she came in the next time and they went, oh, are you Sonia? So she's coming in like a queen here for her next treatment. And then she feels a little bit more hopeful. And she spends time writing them. Guess how many thank you or kudos cards that she wrote over the course of her 6 sessions of chemo treatment? Just take a guess. Pardon? Couple hundred, yes? Yeah, 3? She wrote 1,000. 1,000, yeah. So she used a box of 250, and she said, do you have more? I gave her 3 more, and I said, your challenge is to use them up. And she's like, oh, if I can beat cancer, this is no problem. And I'm like, you go, girl, yes. And you know what? Here's what she would tell all of us in this room if she were here. And I wish you could meet her. She's so freaking awesome. And by the way, she rang that bell of being in remission. Isn't that awesome? Yes. I will tell her you clap for her. I will tell her. She said, I think the thing that healed me most was being able to focus on other people's and how I can appreciate them. And this is the power of recognition. It feels good for the person giving it. It feels good for the person receiving it. And it feels good for anybody who hear about it. You clapped for her, and you weren't even in the room. You don't even know her. I could have just pulled that off of Facebook or whatever. I mean, it wasn't Facebook at one time, but it was, that was actually my own. Yeah. But here's the thing. It actually literally has a chemical reaction in our brain. We have endorphins, that happy chemical, oxytocin, that cuddle hormone. And the thing that we know about those positive chemicals when that's happening in our bodies is that it also lowers cortisol. If you have a very stressful day at work, recognize. Because high cortisol and high endorphins and high oxytocin cannot commingle. They are not at the same party. And you want to be at that positive party, right? So as we look at this and we see how powerful we are, we realize that we, to some extent, have to deconstruct some of the things that we've always accepted. That maybe work provides people's basic needs, and maybe they feel good about what they do, and then they feel a sense of connection and belonging, hopefully, over time, as they get to know the team, and then maybe we can, for some people, help them achieve some of their bigger goals. New research out of UCLA, UCLA, new research out of UCLA. They found that it's actually the love and belonging needs that will usurp the need for some of those basic foundational needs. And I'll tell you an interesting thing, and the penny dropped after I read this research. I actually have a very good friend who studied, her PhD thesis was working with the homeless. One of her main things that she found that was so surprising is that people would rather have a friend than a home. They would rather have a connection than a meal. Wow. That is this research in action. And I hadn't thought about it until now. So what does this mean for the workplace? Is that perhaps love and belonging, and remember, people may be getting it most at work than anywhere else. And even if they have an abundance of love and belonging, and they feel that greater sense of connection to you, then the self-actualization and the esteem needs that they get through that sense of recognition helps to build towards truly authentic, meaningful connection. Not kind of fake sort of, we're having this event and come here to the park and then all the rest of the year we don't connect. It's those micro moments of acknowledgement and connection that are so powerful and that feed a deeper need. And then yes, of course, we pay people to do good work and we make sure that they're safe. That's table stakes. We don't have a choice about that. So why not focus on the parts that we can influence? Here's the other thing that I think we all can get excited about. Is your customer value proposition is the same for your employees. If your customers they love the fact that you're reducing your carbon footprint. If they love the fact that you make their life easier so they can have work-life balance and not answer the phone all the time, how can you connect the dots so that it's not our customers that benefit from our reducing our carbon footprint? How do we reduce our carbon footprint? Look at how we're going remote work. Let's do a calculation of how much we've reduced the carbon footprint in Canada. Get excited about that. Then put that on your recruitment page. Hey, guess what? Over the last year, did you know we reduced our carbon footprint by, insert answer here. Just go a calculation. Do you think those millennials who care a lot about the environment are going to pay attention to that? Darn right they will. Yeah. So knowing that our army of recruiters is every person who believes in what's trying to be accomplished as an organization. Everybody wants to work with somebody that they like, somebody they trust, somebody they respect, so they know those people. They want them to come and work. And if they're not happy, so let's say they're working in a place where it's not remote and flexible, and they want that. They're working perhaps with a coworker who's toxic. They're like, you don't have to put up with that. Come and work here where you can bring all your skills and be valued and not have to put up with that nonsense. So you're your army of recruiters because energy goes where appreciation flows. Anywhere you need an energy infusion, take a pause and go, how could recognition boost some energy right now? And you can issue a challenge and say, it's been exhausting. I want to invite you to recognize and send me an email, anybody that you feel like has helped you to keep going. We've had our call volumes are through the roof. We've had all of these additional changes. It's been a tiring time. Send me an email or send an email here. Create a new email, recognition at and send it all there. And then do a contest of like, you know what? Here's your, and then give it like an energy sort of gift to them. And you can pick because we all are different. Pick your energy appreciation. Do you want a gym membership? Do you want a pedometer? I'm dating myself. An Apple Watch. People are like, some of you are like, what's a pedometer? I don't know what that is. Yeah. You also probably don't know what rewinding is, but we won't get into it. Yeah. So here's an interesting example of where that happened. A client of mine, she was saying that her performance appraisals were, when they switched to Zoom, she wasn't connecting. Like there was nothing interesting that was happening in her performance appraisals. So she'd had a wacky idea. She wanted to bring more energy into her appreciation event, or into her performance appraisals. So they took it to the apple orchard. It's apple picking season, why not, right? And she said, by the way, you can bring anybody you want. You want to bring your grandmother, you want to bring your neighbor, and people literally did. Like hordes of people pouring out of minivans, coming, all of her employees and their family. And she said, I learned more about what makes people passionate by talking to their family, by hanging out of a mitsu tree, passing it to the grandma and say, we've always valued such and such, and then the penny drops. No wonder they're always complaining about quality. Grandma cares a lot about quality. And she said people were electric, and they couldn't wait to tell her more about them. So they totally changed the way they do performance appraisals. They stopped doing the formal form, and they would do it every quarter. They would go and they would do, no, she has a smaller team, you can't necessarily bring, well, I shouldn't say can't. Maybe you could bring the whole organization, but for her and her small team that were a very high performance team, they needed to find a high performance type of activity that matched the kind of energy output that they need to do. Sometimes it's just being creative. Here's another example. There was a brief study that looked at when we asked people to take a pause for 5 minutes in the middle of their workday and write a note of one group, the control group was, what are you grateful for? Or sorry, what's happened in your day? Write about your day for 5 minutes. And the second group was, what's something you're grateful for in your day? They found within 6 weeks a dramatic, statistically significant reduction in behaviors like ostracizing colleagues, bullying, gossiping, because they wanted to have more energy by the afternoon, and they wanted people to leave on a positive note. So they found a route, and it cost nothing, and it was easy to do. So there's lots of ways in which we can do some of that repair. That was built on a situation that needed some repair, because there was an increase in bullying in that particular industry. And what they found is it's actually not that hard to reduce some of these things that we think are very hard to be able to fix. And it's from that place of gratitude, appreciation, and recognition of the person first and foremost. So let me start to wrap up by pulling these pieces together. So when we demonstrate that we care about people, it taps into the need that every person needs to feel seen, heard, and valued. When we're preparing for anything that is going to come your way, it's finding ways, anchoring to the easy ways to keep appreciation going. It could be those, from the thank you card to the fun activities where there's already a fun, to the stay interviews. Find ways where it's built in to the way in which we do things around here, and that it's easy to do something spontaneous when it's needed. And then finally, repair is, it taps into that universal need that anyone, no matter if they're brand new versus right through to you, what they most need. Now, obviously, we talk a lot about this as a family. This is my father. He just received, as you can see from his happy face, Fastest Eater in the Family Award from my daughter. Some of you may not think that's high praise. As you can see, he's glowing. We've been talking a lot about quiet quitting, we sent emails of articles back and forth. And I think that they had decided one day, my parents, my parental units as I call them, the parental units had a conversation. We need to go and keep good people in our community. They're all quitting. My mom wanted to, her objective was to keep people, at her gym, because she didn't like the turnover. So she decided she's gonna recognize everybody there. So good on her. I'm like, Mom, you should probably go more than twice a week if you're gonna help the whole gym, but that's fine. Just 2 days a week, that's fine. And then my dad decided he was gonna take care of the couriers and the delivery people. So that's great. So here's what his first attempt out of the gate was. My mom has wanted a greenhouse since before I was born. I'm 46 years young. This is a long time she's wanted this greenhouse. They spent all summer preparing the backyard for this greenhouse. So the day, it's like they're like kids on Christmas morning. The day the greenhouse is arriving, they're like giddy, excited energy, and all of a sudden my dad in the backyard, my husband's witnessing all this. This is how I know that this has happened. My dad's ear perks up like a dog. Is that the truck? Is that the truck? Sharon, it's the truck. And he goes running. My dad, I will just paint a picture here for you, cut off shorts, suspenders, because he has no bum, and he needs suspenders, yes. He's got his farmer hat on and a polo shirt because he's too cheap to buy himself shirts. He's wearing polo shirts that people give him free at these things. So here he is in his garb, and he's running down the driveway. Hi, hi. Could you imagine this driver? Could you imagine what he's thinking? What's happening? Are they is there a problem? Is there a fire? What's happening here? And he's shouting to my mom, get the muffins. My mom's, okay, because she's made muffins for the driver. She's in on it. Right? They're not gonna let this opportunity go. It's their first recognizing the courier opportunities here. So she's running out with the bag of muffins. And so my dad comes around as he parks, and he said, and no joke, the guy opens the door, and my dad says, we're so glad that you're here. He very slowly gets out of his cab, and my mom's like, and I have muffins for you. And he very slowly puts them like a bomb unit, thing like on the front seat. And he's like, where would you like it? Standard questions. Come on. Enthusiastic, come on. And we'll show you the garden while we're at it. And so this guy's like, oh my God, I'm never going to get out of here. Yeah. But now they've started to bond as they're moving all of these boxes around. He's like, sure, I'll go for a garden tour. My husband says about half an hour later, this guy's probably got other deliveries. Do you think? They're like, oh, yeah. They're all like, disappointed and fine, okay, we'll let him go. And he hops back in his truck, and my parents are waving him away. And to be clear, I don't get this kind of response. I'm just in case you think I'm spoiled, I've never had this kind of welcome or goodbye, And so they're waving him off. And my mom says, I'm going to write a thank you card. My dad says, I think that's a great idea. My mom says, what's his name? My dad says, I thought you got it. So he's back down the driveway running. Oh, stop. And then go, thinking like, oh my God, did I forget some of it? And either that or is this the point I'm going to be murdered? I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know. And he says, and my dad's, you can just see like from down the driveway, the mouthing. What? And my dad walks back with his suspenders and his, cut off, and his hat's a little askew. And Mom's like, what's his name? Oh my God, I forgot. From that part to here, he forgot again. So anyway, the thank you card was a long-winded description of what this man looks like, and what time he arrived, and then the thank you card. But the point is, do you think that guy's going to forget that reaction anytime soon? No, I'm not entirely sure what he would be telling his family and his friends. The point was, it was an effort to acknowledge. It was an effort. So I'm not suggesting we need to go start scaring people through appreciation. However, he genuinely, this was his attempt. I know you're wondering, where'd she get all of her energy? Yeah, now you know, that's the root. So really what they were doing is they were trying to exponentially show appreciation. And hopefully, I suspect, he felt really good. He felt good for the rest of his day. He was very scared, or he felt really good. One of those two things, but he felt it a lot. And this is the art of frogging. Some of you at Coach U yesterday were like, we've been hearing about frogging. What is frogging? Oh, I love that. Look at this. So hold on, pause. Hold up the sign. Isn't that cool? That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah. It's like boxing, right? The round one. Yes. Okay. I know. So you've got on the first bidder for the sign so this is the art of frogging. For those of you in Coach, you're like, what was this whole frog thing? Were we talking amphibians? This is what frog is. Forever recognize others' greatness. It's not when it suits us or recognize others' greatness or when it's convenient or when we have budget. It's forever recognize others' greatness. Now, I'm wondering if you would be with me in our last 4 minutes now to recognize a healthcare group that are unsung heroes. What do you think? Would you be willing to do that? You're like, I don't know what I'm agreeing to. I just heard what your dad does. I think I need more information. Good point. Good idea. Here's what it is. Respiratory therapists, these are the people who, if a baby is born and they need to help take their first breath, some of you are nodding, right? They're there in the ICU, they work 24 hours a day, they are some of the most educated people, they're incredible, and they're exhausted. They were the front line of COVID, they have seen things that they will never be able to unsee, and they're exhausted. Would you help me thank them? I'm doing it yes? Okay, here's what I have in mind. And you're like, here comes the Brian McVannell idea. Yeah, I'm going to invite us, I'm gonna film like this, and I'm gonna invite you to, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, and stand up and say, thank you, RTs. Yes? Yeah, Ray's in it. He's gonna actually start directing it. Okay, let me find an angle here. And this is gonna go in a video for their appreciation week that I'm filming for them. Okay, let's get this going. All right. Are you guys ready? Okay, yeah. So how it's going to go, and we can do this, we can do a second try if we want to, right? If you're like, oh, I wanted to actually now do this or whatever, we can do it a second time. It's fine. This is the first go, okay? So we're going to do on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, and you're going to stand up. Thank you, RTs. Yeah, however you want to do it. You want to do jazz hands, whatever you want. It's just free flow. Okay. Are you ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Ortiz. Ah, yes, yay, that was awesome. So good, so good. Okay, pause. How good do you feel that you are going to, in 1 month, be able to make respiratory therapists across Canada feel better? Yes? Does that not feel good? Yes, it's so good. You have just helped retain some of the most important people in our healthcare system through that little tiny gesture. So now I ask you to think about, you don't have to talk about it right now. I just really want you to lean into, what is your one next step? What will the future look like? If you were to fast forward 6 months and you were to say, I have taken the best nugget, the idea or the passion that I'm most excited about, and I have done it. Like, I've been 100% in. What will you be saying? You know, put yourself in the future, and then you can reverse engineer what that success looks like. You may not know exactly how to accomplish that thing. What will success look like? We want to future load our success. Here's another way of saying it. What will you be sharing worked at your next CAMEX event that you're so glad you used to help create that scrumptious, meaningful culture where everyone knows that they belong, and that it's helped your retention and your attraction tremendously? Now, my last question, on a scale of 10 to 1 with 10, I am so excited to take that next step, and 1 the opposite of that. Where are you? 10? Thank goodness moment, right? Imagine if it were 3. What's that? That was the right 10. Thank goodness, thank goodness. Everyone, thank you so much for being so passionate about your people and being willing to explore what was a negative concept of the great resignation, and see how it can be the great resignation as an incredible opportunity to amplify and elevate recognition as a key anchor to your culture. I want to again thank People Praise and I want to praise you for not only making this presentation available to everyone, also for the compliment cards. So don't forget, everyone, use those compliment cards, be complimenting people throughout the conference. Let's create a little frog movement here at CAMEX. I appreciate each and every one of you, and we'll see you back in half an hour with Dana. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. That was incredible. I enjoyed that so much, and really looking forward to the workshop with Dana. Right now we have our coffee break, so everyone, there's coffee with the exhibitors in the back. Please go back, say hi, and have some coffee, and we'll see you really soon.
Thank you. Yeah, did you get something that was helpful? Oh, you're welcome.
for exhibitors again, and they have a 5-minute spotlight.
Yes, I see
each
how
of them throughout the
how great it
conference.
was to
So the
observe
first
this,
one,
eh?
we're going to
Like,
have
are you
Michael
just
from
like on top of the
Singlecom.
world? No, I'm glad it resonated. I'm glad that you have found your way to clearly where you are able to have your zone of genius
Good
too.
morning. Thank you, Linda. While we're new to CAMX and we're getting to know everybody, you guys have been wonderful to get to know, and you're so welcoming. We're very appreciative of that, so thank you. Hopefully, we'll get to see more of you at our booth throughout the show.
Awesome.
Wanted to
Well, I hope
give you
you
guys
can
a little
join
bit of our
Dana's and my
background to
session
explain who
'cause
we are.
she's
While we're
digging
new to
into it.
CAMX, we're not new to communications. We're actually rooted, our
Hey, you got
technology is rooted
got
all the way
other
back
cool
to
things
2012.
happening.
We're not a new startup. We didn't just jump on the
Well,
cloud
let's-
bandwagon a few
Garrett,
years ago because
nice
everybody
to
says,
meet
hey,
you,
you got to be in the
Gary.
cloud.
Yeah.
We were in the
Hey.
cloud all the way back in 2012.
Garrett, nice to meet
In fact,
you. I
back
feel like
then, when we would go and
were you
talk to
at
clients,
NAEO
it
in
was,
Puerto Rico?
is AWS
You had a
safe?
twin there.
Is my data safe? Like, we had to
Okay,
sign
when did we meet
waivers, we
then?
had to do all sorts of crazy stuff. We even had to promise to download our software onto an on-premise platform if somebody
so
wanted to
yeah,
use it.
NAEO, and then it
now,
was virtual.
It's a rush
I did a
to get to
virtual
the cloud.
conference.
The reasons we chose the cloud back then have been proven to be very
so we would have
wise,
talked and done
especially in
planning
the,
calls.
the wake of
Okay,
the past
I
pandemic.
I knew I
So
knew. I just don't
we
know.
were going through, and we
Ah,
built it
maybe,
all,
so
by the way, for our
that's awesome.
own BPO. We had a
He
several
does, he gets
thousand
around.
person
If I-
BPO that
if-
handled domestic calls in the U.S.
That's
And it was
nice.
from
That's
those
not heard that as
learnings
positive
with our
recognition at a
own
conference
on-premise
lately. It's a
Mitel
new-
switch that we
It-
had,
Yeah,
and all the
it's all
mistakes that we made by
first,
trying
lots
to
of
add
firsts.
on different pieces of
If I
software
can
and
help in
creating
any
this
way,
monster
the
of a
amazing things
system
you're doing in your
that we
organization,
came
please
up
do
with
reach
the
out.
Silicon software that you see today.
Yeah, awesome.
And if you were to ask
Thank you, thank you.
Gartner or some of our traditional
Oh, thank
competitors in the
you.
BPO or
Thank
enterprise
you.
space, what differentiates us from Five9,
Awesome.
Genesys,
That's worth the
Cisco,
ticket of
Mitel,
entrance. I
those
love it.
guys, not just being up in the cloud, but we completely focus on the user experience. And when we say user experience, it's not just the agent customer experience, but your supervisor, your account managers, your business people's user experience as well. So everything that we've done is to eliminate some of the issues that we encountered. And those issues are training time was too long, the system was too complicated. By the time you get somebody up and trained, they would leave, and it was this vicious cycle of trying to train people. So we had to figure out how to get people educated quicker and make the experience painless and as smooth as it can be for the customer, because if we did that, we knew that we would have a good CSAT score and our customers would be happy. The other thing that we wanted, the reason we're named Singlecom, is that we wanted to be omnichannel before omnichannel was a thing. And what's often misconstrued as omnichannel is, oh, we have voice, but then we have omnichannel. Well, omnichannel is all channels, and voice is a channel. And so what we do differently is we just use the internet to route everything all through your browser. And from a data perspective, it all looks the same. So we have true omni-channel capabilities, and what that means for you guys is that it will allow you to expand your business effortlessly. So if you have an agent that's skilled to handle 100 clients and you have 1,000 clients, so you kind of have them segmented out, you can, with our guided interaction tools that kind of guides things to completion, you can now put them into everything, but then you can also enable them to handle voice, chat, even video, email, you name it, and the next interaction that comes through will get served to them through the same interface without them having to log into anything different or be skilled, if you will, to do anything different. You control it all from the same platform. So it makes you guys more efficient. It allows you to do more things, like as a person that was new to Kingston, which is a great town, by the way, I did what most people do, which is, hey, let me just go to my Apple Maps and look for restaurants. And so what do? The restaurants pop up and you read the reviews. And I'm telling you guys this story because this is something I think that is important for your businesses, is to not think about replacing tech as just, I'm upgrading my tech. It's do it to expand your business. So in this case, I read the responses and I get all these 4-star reviews. I always look to see the bad ones because I don't want to go to a restaurant with the bad reviews. But then what's important to me is, did the owner respond? A lot of times the owners don't respond. Now, in the post-pandemic life, people were more comfortable outsourcing stuff, right? So wouldn't it be cool if you had clients that had Facebook, right, and websites and Twitter, and you guys could, as a service, sit there and monitor them and just do the responses for them because they're not doing them today. That's the type of capability you have with the platform And again, you don't have to log into something different. It's the same exact interface that you're going to take a phone call from or do something, but now you can expand your offering, and hopefully that's profitable for you guys and expand your business. But I'm not supposed to talk that long, so I'm getting the nod, so I'm going to get off. But we would love to see everybody. We've got a room set up to do demos, and just love everybody to take a look at the product and see if it might be a fit for you. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm Steve with Cloud Consult, and basically what Cloud Consult is, I started my company about a year and a half ago, and what I'm doing is trying to bring lots of great technology from the contact center world, like speech analytics and omni-channel and translation services and all that stuff, into the telephone answering service world to really help you diversify and to grow your business within your client base, and also expand your client base with these new opportunities for growth. So come talk to me if you want to explore some of those different solutions, and talk about diversity. I want to cede the rest of my 5 minutes over to Tim to kind of talk a little bit about more about Intech and his program. So.
Thanks. I'm taking on the guy that left from Norquest's little piece. We kind of rushed through that yesterday and forgot to talk about the industry incentives that we have for this program. We've been able to secure 200 hours of paid work experience, so that would be something that this program would take on. It's not the responsibility of the organizations that join us. We're also working with provincial and federal governments to decrease the cost of the training as well. The training currently is covered 66%, so the overall expense for the student and the training program is going to be under $2,000 over the course of a year. So we're trying to again reduce the barriers to get people involved. The value obviously is that we're going through and training folks, and if they decide that they don't want to be in the call center industry, that's totally fine, but it's not a cost that anybody here has to bear. And we all have to deal with that, where we have our trainer training somebody, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks in or a week in or whatever, the person goes, yeah, no, I didn't think it was going to be this, so bye. So we've kind of got that a little bit of help for everybody in the organization. I'm still here. I do like to talk a lot, and I'm happy to take your information. I really do appreciate all the people that have joined on so far. And again, this is not something that we own, so if you're passionate about this and you would like to take it on locally, we will give you our program and you can start it locally. This is not something that we own. This is a gift to everybody here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Luis Casares. I represent Explora in Mexico. And basically, I got only 5 minutes, but I'm trying to make it short. We're a task company servicing task companies in Canada and the United States. Basically outsourcing your needs to us for a slightly less price than what you normally pay here. And then we cover basically everything from our end. So if you're lacking of a staff or you need Spanish speakers for your clients, then that's when we can step in for you. And basically we become an extension of your company, and we work really good. That's all I can say. We have already a few clients, and basically our agents have the highest ranks in QA, and first, second, and third place in a row, month after month. And so basically our agents are really good, if I may say. In the other convention, I kind of explained to them how we're trying to make this happening. Basically what we do is flipping the organization chart over. Instead of the CEO down to the office manager, and then supervisors, and then trainers, and then agents, we put the agents on top. So I am the CEO and I own the company, so I work for my office manager, so she can provide everything that she needs to provide the service to the supervisors, and then the supervisors finally to the agents. We all work for the agents. If the agents are happy, you'll be happy. And that will translate into more clients for you. And that will translate into more money for everyone. So that's the core of business, making money, right? So if we keep our agents happy with good pay and good working atmosphere, then that translates into good service. And that's what we're trying to do. And I think that we're accomplishing that. So if you would like to have some more information from us, our booth is right there, and you're more than welcome to have a cup with Mexican candy in it. And also, we are doing a raffle for three nights, 4 days in the Yucatan Peninsula in a really, really nice boutique hotel. And all we need is your card. We won't be emailing you like spam. We'll just send you a little information about us later on after the convention, and just so you can keep us in mind. And so step by our booth and just give us our card, and then you can get some more information from us if you like. Thank you.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, you're looking at me? Like, where the heck
She
are
wasn't
you?
where she was sitting. She didn't abandon me, did she?
Well, it's my pleasure to introduce again Sarah, and she's now got a sidekick, Dana Lloyd from Answer Plus.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
All right, Savvy Sister. you
Oh,
wanna
is this how we
kick
work
things
this?
off? You get the fancy
Perfect.
remote there.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name's Dana Lloyd, and we reached out to Sarah a year ago to help us with our entire employee journey. So we went, and we have the luxury of Sarah lives in our backyard in Niagara.
It's tough.
It's tough.
It's tough to be in wine country. Yeah. What's that?
Is it a shed?
It's a barn. It actually
It is
literally a barn.
It's a
Yeah.
barn. But we were so fortunate to be able to go and have a full offsite in Sarah's very cool retrofit barn that looks like a
No
retreat.
animals. Yeah.
What's that?
No animals.
There were no
I'm trying to
animals.
paint a picture. Yeah.
It's on the Niagara River, so it's so beautiful. I think there was snow falling. It was the perfect atmosphere for a brainstorming session. So.
And you know, why we wanted to share this with you is because you had this brilliant idea, is that what if we completely like threw everything out the window and we just said, okay, what do we need to do?
Yeah.
And really that's the genesis of this, and why we thought we would share, and it's mainly, you know, Dana sharing how that curiosity led to some amazing innovative approaches, and of course results of being able to retain great people.
Yeah.
But let's get some reels here about what it was like at that time.
Well, and this is what led us to reach out to Sarah. And I think this is uniformly consistent across all of us, but these are some serious challenges that we faced over the last 2.5 years. So first off, we started 2020 not knowing, or I didn't know, what was going to happen to our business. I didn't know where our business was going to land. And we were we lost a lot of customers in March of 2020. We had sort of a 6-week period where we significantly lost a lot of customers. Now, they were small, and some of them were putting their accounts on hold, but it was scary. I didn't know if this hemorrhage was going to continue. I didn't know if it was going to stop, so there was a ton of uncertainty that we were dealing with.
Can you relate to that? Yeah,
Good,
it's
okay.
bringing
It
back some
wasn't
bad
just me.
memories. Yeah, yeah.
And then we kind of went into this phase at Answer Plus where we didn't know how to train remotely effectively. How do we supervise effectively in a remote environment? And then our culture. I mean, all of us in this room spend so much time on culture, and we've done such a great job of building amazing, amazing cultures. And a lot of us are, it's potlucks, and it's in-house bingo games, and all of these things that we did because we were in-house. How do we do that remotely? And I'll share a story. I had a huge aha in the fall of 2020. So, we're in this, how do we train? How do we supervise? How do we ensure that our culture remains what it is? So we're putting all this effort, and I kind of grouped our culture into 2 buckets. I sort of thought, okay, we need the structure, we need the support, the training, the coaching, all of that, and then the fun, so couple it with fun. We have these annual Dolly Awards, which are employee recognition awards annually in all of our offices. So the first year we had to do it remotely, and we had, tragically, a very young employee of ours, late 20s, who passed away from a brain tumor. And we had another employee who was in her late 40s, early 50s, had worked with him for a few years, give the eulogy at our Dolly Awards. And it was like everybody was bawling. It was so impactful. And my aha was, oh my God, we're not taking into consideration the coworker human experience, the coworker support. So that was a big, like, oh gosh, now we have to kind of revamp and reallocate and create these sort of human moments that we had so easily when we were in-house. And then my God, it was hard to hire. Like, who thought it would be hard to hire? Everyone's losing their jobs.
Yeah.
Like, God, this is gonna be the easiest thing. So we really struggled with hiring, and then retention. So how do we keep our employees? Because we were seeing a lot of turnover.
Yeah. So we actually used the data that you had, and we took a look at it. And so that was the first point, because we measure what matters. And if some of these things don't make sense, like there seems to be a lot of people who've been laid off, it seems like they would be great, and yet it's not happening. The mental framework in which we embraced was tight, loose, tight. Tight, what do we need? What are we trying to accomplish? We need to be able to recruit and retain for this number of positions. And we need to be able to work with the data that we already have. We're not making things up. This is legitimately the way in which we're looking at it. But loose is, but everything's on the table. Everything that you have done in the organization that worked well, everything you've heard is a great idea here, everything that other industries are doing, and any other possibility that wasn't even imagined. If it somehow fit one of those criteria, right? It'd help with hiring, maybe it would help with culture, perhaps it would build better engagement, whatever that is, consider it.
Yeah.
And then the tight is bringing into focus now, how do we refine all those great ideas? Because have you ever had a brainstorming session and you have a million ideas, but then it's like, they're all great because you came up with them, so of course they're great. So we want to share with you how the employee experience framework is the perfect way to filter through and identify where you're going to get the best bang for your buck by bringing that lens to your team.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, we're dealing with some really big challenges in our business, and then externally, we are going through a total unknown, unprecedented event. So I kind of wanted to recognize all of us here because it has been a struggle. Like, it has not been easy. It's been 2.5 years of hardness. And Sarah, it was actually interesting because Sarah's like, yeah, it was a bit of a push-pull. Like, it'd be really crappy, and then there'd be some light, and then it'd be really crappy. And so it was really like this tug of war. But I mean, go back to 2020, March of 2020. They shut down the schools. We're dealing with employees who now are not only employees to us, but they're employees to their children, teaching them at home. Daycares are shut down. Everything's shut down. You're not allowed people in your house. Sarah talked about Maslow's hierarchy. Like we were all at that bottom level, and we were supposed to be, figuring out how to train remotely, and we are like trying to find toilet paper and spraying down our groceries.
Good times.
It was really fun.
It was just great.
Yeah. It was really fun.
Why not relive it right now, all of us? Yeah.
I know. I actually get a little anxious talking about it. But
so isn't it nice in front of a whole crowd then to be anxious talking
well,
about
and
it?
I think, we
Fun.
all experienced it.
Yeah.
So that was really awful, obviously. And then June, July, things started to open up. We all, I believe, started to see some serious growth. Like, the businesses had stabilized, and then all of a sudden we're getting growth, and our call traffic is out of control, and it's not predictable, and we can go to restaurants, and hairdressers are open, and things were looking pretty positive.
That was positive, that the hairdressers opened.
That was
I
really...
remember some bad moments there.
Especially the men.
Yeah.
And then cut to September, we're back in lockdown again. There's strains, there's more, deaths. So it's like, oh my gosh, we're back to where we started. We haven't progressed. But then again, like another kind of like exciting moment, we're launching vaccines. So that's great. Now, this is the winner. Like this is going to solve everything. But then Canada doesn't produce vaccines. We can't get them. We have apps. We would send out messages. There are vaccines at Cloverdale right now. Go. Like it was just such a, fight or flight. Like people were going to the States to try and get vaccines. And then, we start to stabilize and we start to get to that new normal as they keep talking about. But then we can't hire. We're having massive hiring and labor shortages last summer. So that's really what led us, like all of that led us to go and speak with Sarah. And I think, all the leaders in this room, Sarah and I were talking about this, like, again, you have a lot of external factors that are really heavy. You're exploring every aspect. Like, I think we've explored every piece of our business. Like, I don't think any piece of our business has been left untouched. And you're dealing with their expectations are different. They want to be remote. They want flexibility. Oh my gosh, okay, let's adapt to that. You just have all of these things coming at you. This is supposed to be like all these boulders, like hitting me in the head.
With the whole boulders like coming down on you? Like, yeah. Or they could be viruses
too, yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, what else could they be? Yeah, that's right.
That's
yes.
right.
Yeah.
So you have all of these things. And after our last lockdown, I don't even know when that was, maybe last January, I thought, I actually can't do this anymore. Like, I cannot go through another lockdown. And I'd be like, oh my God, I'd get to the end of the day and I'd be like, oh my God, I have to actually think about what I want for dinner right now or what I'm going to make my family for dinner. Like, it was so overwhelming. I just got to the point where I was like, I feel like I'm playing whack-a-mole. Like, what's the biggest thing? And we're going to attack that, and then we're going to attack the next one that's coming down and hitting us. So we reached out to Sarah.
Well, and what's so amazing about you as an industry, and of course the joy of working with your company, is that you have a recipe that works, but you are also willing to take a look at, do we have the right recipe right now? And that's one of the, I guess, the silver linings to the hope dashed, is that you actually get a chance to give yourself permission to rewrite some of those things and to not necessarily have to keep it the way it's always been. It doesn't mean that it was wrong. It doesn't mean it won't work in the future. It means that there's something here that we don't understand.
Yeah.
So that's really so much of what we're trying to do. And we are big cake people, so metaphors will involve food. So
yes, extend, we'll get that.
If you're hungry, just be warned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's also a great exercise, I mean, even non-pandemic times, to constantly be looking at your processes and evolving, because they do constantly change. And it might be working for you, but maybe there's something better you could be doing to better your overall experience. So.
Yeah. So you saw this when I talked about in the presentation, and what's so generous of you is that you're going to share some of these things that you did. Now, by giving you the lens, and you can do this in your own organization, you don't have to work with anybody external, you can bring this as the lens in which to look at what are you currently doing in your recruitment process, in your retention, in your anything that touches the employee experience, and also the middle management experience. Because are we having a hard time you know, recruiting and like promoting from within sometimes into those middle manager roles. So this is not simply just an agent and other linchpin roles in the organization. So having that opportunity to take a look at what do you currently do and also what else could be done. One of the most important things that we spent time on the second half of the day is, so where does that actually fit? Because most of the time we think of new ideas. We think this is great, let's try this. However, how does it fit into a bigger picture? So because employees experience the bigger picture. I know what it's like to have tried to work here. I know what it likes to be screened and be hired. This is how they think. They think in phases. They may not call it phases. They may not, you know, be able to give you feedback. He's like, Gary, I'm just wondering, how was the onboarding phase for you? They're not, well, I've been thinking about the difference between this phase versus that phase. Thank you for asking. So we may not actually talk about those pieces. However, given that employees are experiencing different things differently, it's important for us to then filter opportunities through that.
Yes.
And what did you note? Like we've circled 3
Yeah,
here.
so what was really, I had 2 big takeaways. With this model is game changing. We sort of, when we went to Sarah had shared this model with me before we met. And I sort of went in thinking, oh, this is gonna be great because Sarah's gonna solve all of our problems. And she asked us for data. And our data showed that 95% of our turnover is happening within the first 3 months. So she said, you need to focus on those 3 things. And what's been amazing is not only did it help us prioritize, but it breaks the journey into chunks so it's manageable. You can really think about it and you can really analyze to see where there's a break or where there's a gap in any one of these different phases.
And I think the thing I really want to celebrate about the work that you've done is that that may not necessarily still be the place where you are you know, the biggest sort of leak in the bucket, so to speak. But being prepared and continually having this lens means that as new data presents on when the turnover is happening or when your biggest expenditure and that you're not getting a return on investment there, then you can start to look at other phases through the lens of what were we trying to do now? Obviously that worked. However, perhaps we're not retaining people as long in the next one. And so, although we're going to be giving examples, not me, you're going to be giving examples on the attract, hire, and onboard, I will quickly mention that engage, that phase, it used to be before COVID that 1 to 3 years was a key anchor in that engagement journey. So how we engage people and how we make sure that they feel connected was going to be unique from 3 to 10 years and then 10 beyond. And interestingly, if you look, I think it's interesting, you may not. Sarah thinks it's interesting that being an HR nerd that I am, that after 10 years, people's engagement level like boom, down in the ground. And yet that's often when we get excited about recognizing them. And we've already lost them. But you know, maybe more important than that though, COVID has now, and I'm sure we've all experienced this, that under year, the way in which we engage people and they feel a sense of connection is maybe going to be a little bit different from the 1 to 3 years, from the 3 to 5, and then the 10-year plus. So even though we have employees, think of, I invite you to consider which group are we in, which cluster they belong to and engage. Your numbers may be slightly different. If we get them to 2.5 years, that's awesome, but then 2.5, if we look at pulse surveys, engagement surveys, net promoter scores, they seem to be a little bit different here. You can have your own storyline. The key point, hopefully I'm not belaboring it too much.
No, this is good.
Hopefully, you tell me, right?
No,
in front of all of these nice people?
Yes,
okay,
yes,
good,
it's
good.
Yeah.
Honesty, core value. I know you have it. So the key thing is, what are your key flashpoints? Where does the story and the experience of your employee journey dramatically change? And your data, if you're not using data on a regular basis, like I've started to work with clients to use pulse surveys on a weekly, bi-weekly basis so that they keep on track of the pulse sooner. I actually have a Canadian company that I can introduce you to that has that. But the point is, we need to know.
We need to know, and it goes back to when you brought it up in the first section, and this came out, we had a strategic planning session a couple weeks ago, and the whole first day, we focused on these 7 stages. And bottom line, like, you know, you can go a million ways, but bottom line, you need to know your people, like you need to know your team. You need to know what's important, because you can do all this stuff and it might fall flat. So you need to know your people. And I also think too, you know, when I say like we were focused on the attract, hire, onboard, we were, but we didn't obviously not do any development or training. Like, you know, obviously that has to happen, but this really helped us prioritize that sort of side of the equation. So I'll share with you sort of the process we went through. Sarah helped us kind of determine our lens. So when we were brainstorming and coming up with all of these awesome ideas, we had a lens of, will this help our team shine? So everything we were sort of like filtering through went through that lens. And then what we did was, for attract, we listed everything we do currently under that section. And then we sort of said, okay, what is working? So what should we keep doing? What should we start doing? And what should we, did I say stop?
Yeah.
Start, continue, yeah. And so we really pulled apart, and some of the things we were doing were working, which was great. But I think one of the biggest things we did, which had the biggest impact, was we created avatars for our employees or our new recruits. So we are crystal clear on who we want to bring into the office. And what we were seeing is we have an in-house recruiter who primarily 90% of her job is recruiting. It's probably 150% of what she does now. But anyway, she came on, and it took her a few months to kind of figure out who fit in with Answer Plus. And then in 2021, the summer of 2021, we had, I mean, it was all hands on deck, right, Jen? Like every person, I'll tell a story actually about that one, but anyway. So we were bringing on, we had a consultant or a contract person come in and help us hire. It took her a few months to kind of like figure out who the right employee was. We'd, oh, can you help hire? It would take them months. So we created these awesome avatars so that everybody was so clear, and we could just jump in and start hiring immediately, independent of who was actually hiring.
And a key thing that that your Rockstar group had is that we don't need to have people for a long time. We need to have them for a good time, a deep time, an important time. So you started looking at students. What's the value of students? New Canadians, you know, like there was no potential avatar off the table.
Yeah.
So and what's interesting is you talked about things that had worked in the past. Have you ever had that where, you know what, we used to actually hire a lot of people who were, you know, in this group or from this community or from this industry. So by looking specifically through the lens of who do we attract and why do we want those folks, it also helps with the rest of it. Because if, let's say you're like, you know what, actually I think students, if we can hire them in first year and they're a 4-year program, we get, you know, some very specific shifts that we can fill all throughout their time. What would incentivize them? And that may be a little bit different. You may be giving like a textbook bonus if you work a certain number of hours, or which is very different than like, here's a benefits package if you're part-time, that if you want to opt into. So it's looking at and valuing, and see, you know, your point around, you have to know the person.
Yeah.
If you don't know the person, how do you know what incentivizes them?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I think too, just going back to sort of always and constantly evaluating your processes, we were sort of like, we don't hire students, like their you know, schedules change. But this exercise with Sarah, everything was on the table, like you said. So yeah, put students up there. Like, let's reevaluate this, because who knows? We made that decision 25 years ago. Who knows now? It could really work. So
yeah, there's lots of ideas here that Dana's going to share, and you know, you're an amazing community of sharing ideas. So, you know, you're happy to be interviewed at any point
so
about by
any
people. What else
questions.
did you do?
Yes. I'm keeping it top level. But the biggest one we did was the avatar for sure. And then we went on to hire, and this is my story actually. So it literally last summer, so summer of 2021, every single person in our business was hiring. Like, no word of a lie. We were all hiring. So we were looking for a bilingual person, which is our biggest challenge in hiring. And I said, oh, you know what, Jen, I'll take this. I'll do this interview. So I interview this lady. She's amazing, by the way. She was bilingual. She lives in Toronto. She lives up the street. I'm like, God, I've shared some stuff about myself. She shared some stuff about herself. I'm like, this is great. She lives around the corner. We can go for coffee. I've got her into a new role. I'm like, I didn't, but I'm like in my head.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then I'm going to everybody in the company. I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. These people are amazing. Like, these candidates are awesome. What's so hard about this? Anyway, how long did she last? 2 days? 2 days. 2 days. I thought I had such a connection with her.
Yeah.
Anyway, she lasted 2 days. So it was such a dog's breakfast trying to hire. And I think, again, just going back to sort of the biggest bang we got for our buck was a couple of years ago, we implemented an HRIS system. So I don't know, for those of you who may not know, Human Resource Information System. So it's like a CRM, but for employees. And it is amazing. It was probably the best thing we've spent money on in a while. And what it allowed us to do was systemize our hiring and our onboarding process, really systemize everything. But where we really saw it was in the hiring and the onboarding. So when someone submits a resume, like an email response goes back. And then, I don't know, and then there's something for first interview and something for second interview. And once you've got hired, there's like a welcome package. And then there's a video. And then the ops manager. So it's very systemized, and it's calculated as to when it gets sent out. So it sounds very prescriptive, but the actual material that's being sent out is really awesome. And again, through that lens of, will this make this employee shine? So that was sort of the biggest thing.
So what would be an example of a video? Like, is this a YouTube video that you link, or is this like?
No, so so I've done a video just to welcome new employees to the business, and then their manager. Their specific manager would send a video welcoming them to the business. And again, I mean, it's generic, but it's personalized in the sense that the message resonates. They would get, what else did they get, Jen? They get their training schedule. I mean, they get their...
The welcome letter from the supervisors, from the office managers, from the trainers, and then they get surveys, like how was your experience through the interviewing process.
We do the quiz, which is fun. So then you've been hired, and then there's a little bit of a fun questionnaire, and then that gets circulated to everybody. So it's like, what's your favorite food, and who would you want to meet if you could meet anyone in the world? And I find them very interesting, but it's very systemized. So nothing gets dropped. It's consistent, and it ensures that people feel like, you know, we want them, and we're excited to have them on board. So.
And so important for consistency, because when Rome is burning, it's like, okay, we're dousing that fire. But then if it's not burning so much, we're like, well, let's know this other thing.
Yeah.
So putting this in and having it solid means that you'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
It'll make it easier to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So that so employees in a year from now aren't like, wait a minute, I didn't get a custom video from the manager. I didn't get.
Right.
Do people talk?
Right.
They share their experience. No, they don't talk. No, they don't. They don't talk in Kingston. No, they don't talk in Kingston. Yeah.
And then the next one was onboarding. Again, like, what does that look like? And how do we support, train, coach, give the right tools so that they're excited to work for Answer Plus, and they're prepared when they go onto the phones. And what was interesting was a couple weeks ago when we were doing our strategic plan, as Jen said, we are surveying all the time now. So we have a survey post-hire, post-training, and then I'm sure there's more. But and then Brandy, who is our amazing recruiter, she calls as well. So similar to what you were saying, Denise, she calls at certain points throughout their journey to get feedback as to, you know, what they're working on and what they're liking and all of that good stuff. Anyway, what we discovered was training, awesome, hiring, awesome. We're super supportive, and then we kind of drop them in the deep end when they're ready to take calls. So it's almost like not baby, that's the wrong word, but we really support, and then, okay, you're ready, we've prepared you, you're ready, have at it. So that's something we're working on right now, is trying to figure out how to transition better from this to this kind of thing.
And it's an affirmation about the importance of continually trying new things, not being afraid to get it wrong or not fully get it right.
Yeah.
Because although that process was improving, it was better. It wasn't as tight as it could be.
That's right.
So you very humbly said, like, we're losing people. We don't want to go this far and then lose them.
That's right, yeah.
So now you're putting in some.
So now that's our next initiative. But yeah, for the onboarding, the big thing we did was really evaluate our onboarding program, meaning our onboarding training. And we are very fortunate. We have a customer who does online training, and so we really engaged them into how best we can train. So not only the material did we look at, but we looked at cameras on versus camera off, breakout sessions, like some rules. So when we train, we can engage the team, the new recruits, as much as possible.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so I mean, one of the things that we're hoping that you are able to take from this is the opportunity to bring this as a discussion to your teams and to evaluate or to consider, do we have a systematic way in which we're looking at the things that we've been trying since COVID, the things that we've done before? That's like one of our biggest things that we're hoping for,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Is do you have a way to get focused, especially since coming to a conference, there's so many great ideas, you learn from each other, and all of that is awesome. And you pointed out very humbly to me, as we were preparing for this, that you realized something about the cake.
Well, so we talk a lot about cake in our office. It's a big component of our in-house culture strategy. But what we've had to do over the last 2.5 years is build our cake. So the analogy we use is the cake is the foundation of our employee journey. And if we don't have the tools, the support, the training, the human connection, the human opportunities to connect, we can throw a lot of the fun stuff. You actually said it well earlier, the
extrinsic motivators, like outside.
Yes, the intrinsic is the cake. The intrinsic is the recognition. It's the core part of the employee journey. And so the icing is sort of the fun, sexy stuff, which is really great, but you can get really sick off of a lot of icing. And so we talk a lot about really build your foundation, and we can't just throw contests on a flat cake. So,
yeah. I mean, we're pro icing too. So like if anyone
Eventually,
wants to buy us like lots of ice cream on a cupcake, like we wouldn't say no.
No, that's right. That's right.
But you're right, right? Like we have to have it's a both and.
Yeah.
And that may be something to look at. Sometimes we worry that COVID has made that we can't have the fun stuff. So if you reintroduce just the fun stuff, then it may actually not. It may not have the same. It doesn't work the same. We may think, oh, that's because we're all remote. But actually, maybe it's because it wasn't the thing that truly. We thought it was about the contest. It was actually about the connection. We thought it was about the pizza party, but actually was about the very human phenomenon of when humans eat together, they connect together. And it's just like hardwired into us. So maybe it's a good thing when we have to look at recipes and see which things were working before, because we now know they worked before and we want to get back to that. Which things actually we thought worked, but now that we've pulled back, it's like lowering the water level. Sorry, now I'm mixing up metaphors.
Yeah.
I'm like, is it okay if we go a non-food route?
I don't want to. But I do want to emphasize the recognition that Sarah spoke about today. I mean, again, it's that base of the cake. And I think we were just saying at the break, the more times you recognize people, the more times you see the best in people. Mm-hmm. And there are so many it's such a quick thing to do. Sarah, when we were with her, she shared 2 things with us. She mentioned the cards. We had a situation a week ago where our controller came to me and she said, oh, I've sent Lucy. Lucy is our communications manager. She's amazing. I've sent Lucy a request to send a card to Judy, who planned a party. I was like, that's amazing. So we were sending cards out all the time, and honestly, everybody loves it. Like, we do them for birthdays, and we do them because you had a great call, and everybody loves it. So I think it's called, what's it called? I can't
Send
remember.
out cards, yeah.
Send
If
out
you pop me an
cards.
email, sarah@greatnessmagnified.com, I'll
Yeah.
send you the link. And the thing is that, again, from a remote workplace environment, you can preload, again, from your HRIS system, the home email, home addresses, you put their
Yeah.
birthday, their work anniversary, and it tells you, oh, don't forget, Brad's birthday's coming up. He's
Yeah.
going to be upset if you don't send him a card. No, but I mean, because Brad, you don't want to miss it, right? And is that the true fact? Hashtag true fact. So
Yes.
it will cue you, and then you can take your own picture.
Yeah, you can make your own. Or you can
send-
take a template. Yeah, it's really awesome. And then the other thing you shared, which was really good, is SendSpark, which is and it's free. You basically just record a quick video. So Jen sends out we have a calibration session every week, and so Jen sends out the best call to everybody. And so I can then go on SendSpark and say, oh my gosh, amazing call, Amy. So impressed with how you dealt with a difficult customer or whatever.
Yeah.
And then send it out. It takes 3 seconds, and everybody's doing it, and the feedback has been amazing. So that's another one.
And if you're thinking about how do we do things in a work environment that are interesting to our younger generation, they're all about the video. They spend hours on TikTok, right? So this is like bringing the TikTok version of work to, because you're creating a little video.
That's right.
And my challenge to you will be wear a funky hat, or be giddy
Yes.
up, keep
Yes.
doing those metrics or something.
Yes.
That was.
Ooh, all right, yeah, I'll work on that one.
Yeah.
That's
yes,
outside my comfort
yeah.
zone, but
no,
yeah,
but
it's
I mean,
okay.
if
I want to be authentic.
If you're into, too much icing.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. See, Bill, that was
Just
a little.
for me, it's too much icing just
That
for me,
was
but yes,
that was
okay.
a check. That
Yeah,
was a check.
Yeah.
But if
They'd
you're
be like, she's drunk or something.
Yeah. Oh, boss has got a problem. Yeah. Should we get her help? Yeah. But if it's your way of personalizing you. So if normally you would send out an email or a report that's about good numbers, and you type in the email, great numbers. Send the little video, which by the way, SendSpark, I don't make any commission for this. I'm just telling you about cool things that I use. And it's a little animated GIF that you put in the email, and it's Dana going like this, right? And then you watch it, it's guys, you need to open up this attachment. Our numbers were amazing. You may not say it like that. You may say it a bit more
buttoned up. But
everyone, staff, something a bit more
Hopefully
like that.
it's in the middle, but yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think so.
I haven't
think in the
seen one of
middle.
these videos that she's sharing.
I'm going to share one with
Yeah.
you. You can, rate
No,
it.
But I mean, the point is, it'll be you,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
it's different for each one of us. And you don't have to do this, but the point is, it takes virtually no time.
Yeah.
People are more likely to open it, and it's data, because you can see how many times it was opened. You can even see if it's watched more than once, because then you're like, darn, those hats work.
Yeah.
They keep watching it. And maybe shocked multiple times over. Yeah.
Or I do look, and I get responses back, which always make my day. So then I'm watching. I'm like, oh, they've opened it, but they haven't sent me a thanks for the video. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay,
That's
all
why
right.
you need the hats.
So I need the hats. Maybe,
Yeah, that's
but
why you need the
Yeah,
hats.
it is
Yeah.
great data and really simple to use. So
Yeah.
and you just use your computer. You're not on your phone and then trying to send or whatever. It's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, really.
But
really
it's,
good.
that's just a few little examples of things that have been working for you.
Yeah.
We wanted to invite you to chat about at your table. What are a couple of things that either you've taken from some of the bullet points, some of the things we've talked about, some of the things that you're doing, so that you can share that with each other. In fact, if you're sitting with people at your own organization, why don't you just switch tables for, and then hear from each other? What do you think? How much time do we have? Do we have a CAMEX represent?
We have 20 minutes.
To make sure we don't go over time? 20 minutes?
19 minutes?
That's
Okay.
precise. You must be in the call management industry. Yes. All right. Yeah. So here's what we're thinking. What do you think? Is this what we're thinking?
Yeah, this is
Are you
good.
reading
Yes.
my mind?
Yeah, yeah. I know
Awesome.
yeah.
Yes. So why don't we take 10 minutes to move to a group of folks that you don't necessarily work with all the time, and chat about some of the things that you've tried, some of the things perhaps that you've heard. It could be this session, some of the things that Dana has generously shared that you think might be neat ideas, and learn from each other. It also perhaps helps you to filter through some of the things that you want to take back.
And if you can link them too to one of the stages,
Yes,
that
we
would
will
be
put
really
it back
cool
on.
too. Yeah.
In fact, on that note, God, give it up. We're such a good team. Why don't you pick as a table one of those as your anchor? Like, rather than try to like throw just ideas in general, share ideas about attract or hire or onboard or engage or perform or develop or retire. Probably not retire. I don't think that's actually what we're worried about. Let's just keep that one off the table, one of the other 6. Okay, how does that sound? We're actually now down to 18 minutes probably? 16?
16?
Bill, you're hungry. 16 minutes? Is it really legit 16? 8 minutes, okay.
18.
18. This is the new math, okay. We're still gonna give you 10 minutes and then come back in each table, share one idea that is so delicious, you cannot wait to share it with the rest of us. Delicious, okay? Yeah.
Do we have to turn this off?
He'll turn it off.
We got it. Okay, that was good. What'd you think? Yeah, good.
Great.
Yes.
What
Good,
do you
good,
think?
good. I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
good.
thought it was good. I didn't know how it would be like in, the passing back and forth, but I thought
I mean,
it
I
well.
think they're probably in awe of how awesome we were. in the station in Kingston.
We have one of those, yeah, at home. That's hilarious.
All right. So, how pumped are you right now hearing about all of these great ideas? On a scale of 10 to 1, with 10, I'm like bursting with energy, 1 the opposite of that. Where are you right now? 11 or 12.
Good. I love it.
I love that. Yeah. We come from an arts, social science background, so that makes sense to us to be a 12 out of 10. Yeah, exactly. All right. So what we're going to ask you to do very quickly is share your best idea that you don't want anyone else to miss out on because, you know, they were part of another, I'm sure, very cool group too. Anyone here talk about Attract and you've got this delicious idea that you want to share with the group? Anyone here focused on Attract? No? All right. Do I hear higher? Higher. All right. What's your juicy idea?
Actually, so Mia brought this up that they use it, and I think it's a fantastic idea, is that when, for us personally, is our HR does the hiring.
Yeah.
And in the process, we're not showing the candidate what they would actually be doing, so they do a test account, and we run them through the test account with the applicant. So in that way, they have an idea, and they're more readily, they know what they're going to get into.
Yeah.
It's a great idea, yeah.
So for the folks in the virtual realm, and in the hire process, letting people have a test account, seeing, basically it's like a realistic job preview is what we call in the HR nerdy world. So yeah, so beautiful. And then they get a chance to feel like they're part of it by the sounds of it too. So awesome.
Or get themselves out if they are like,
Or
this
get
is
them-
too much.
Yeah.
Then you're not
Yeah.
wasting, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay to get off the boat,
Yeah,
just get
yeah.
off early.
Yeah, just-
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Anyone else with an important hire suggestion, idea? Yes.
I think I'm Mark's world. This table is awesome.
Yes.
One of Dana's board.
Yeah.
We had a lot of insights. Bamboo HR. I didn't even know about it, so I think we're going to take a look at that.
Yeah.
That's our HRIS system,
That's
the,
amazing. Very cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
We do it with a bunch of different tools, and I'm sure whoever's actually involved will probably be correct.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about it too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Anyone else? And focused on some good ideas around hire. I bet you there's a bunch with onboarding. Anyone talk?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah.
Smooth. Smooth. I love it. That's awesome. Yes. And what a great opportunity to learn together, the more people who are using that, right? So great. All right, CAMX onboarding.
We're going to learn about that tomorrow at breakfast.
Good plug, yes.
Well, we all
Did
need to
everyone
be
hear that?
there. Yes. All right, yeah.
Checking in with them as you're doing that onboarding. So what do they like about the experience? What do they not like about the experience? So what can change and tweak to just make it flow for them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And better for the next person. Yeah.
Better
which is
for
great.
the next
Yeah.
person. Love it. Yes.
So an idea here, Sherpa, so it could start here, but go through engagement, but we just started to talk about community.
So the Sherpa, because a Sherpa is somebody that helps you climb the mountain.
Yes.
So if you have a Sherpa, it doesn't necessarily have to be a coworker. It could be somebody that maybe you're struggling with kids, you've got somebody that's already gotten through that stage and successfully launched them. Or maybe somebody who's a writer and somebody else struggles with writing. So it's just somebody that can help. It's not your official mentor. It's more a Sherpa that will see you through, whether it's to show you where the bathroom is or say, oh, hey, Paul is Dana's dad. Be careful what you say to him.
Right.
And that reinforces my point of like, you need to know your people, right? Because then you can effectively match people. And yeah.
What a cool concept of the idea of a Sherpa helping
Yeah.
you and being able to have different Sherpas. So that just makes it onboarding more fun. So great. Awesome. Additional ideas around onboard? Yes.
One thing that we actually started implementing is a personality profile
Mm-hmm.
that they do, and it kind of categorizes them into either fox, dolphin,
Oh, that's cool.
or an owl, and it gives us kind of common language for communicating with
Mm.
each other, so that
Okay.
if you're talking with someone on your team, you know what their main predominant personality is, so that you can have that language and know that, okay, this is how I can communicate with them better. It also gives us something to laugh to each other about, like, oh, there's the owl, you know, an apple.
Yes.
So this is for your entire organization. Everybody has the,
When they, once we agree that they're going to be hired,
yeah.
come in and do the personality profile,
Yeah.
And that actually, after the profile is done, then they'll get a custom sweater with their
Oh, that's cute. Yeah.
logo and what their personality is.
Fun.
Everyone has this common language, and they can laugh with each other about it, kind of like help you find that little things. But then also, this is how to communicate with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Language for everyone to talk to each other.
That'd be great too, like if you have an initiative and you want to make sure you have one person from each group in the initiative, you know everybody's style. That's
Look
great.
at you innovating right
know,
up
I like
here
it,
as
yeah.
we go. See?
I see a good idea. Yeah.
So good. Love it. Awesome.
Yeah.
And what's beautiful about pairing that with recognition is that we need every type here at the table. Where personality goes wrong is where it's like, oh, way to go, owl. Don't invite the owls. So you have a really supportive way, and I love how you've gamified it with the yes. Yeah. Awesome. Anyone else on board ideas? Sir.
Because we kind of all were on the same page in terms of connections and how important it was to establish connections in the onboarding thing. And we had a super testimonial from one of our new agents, Angela, here, who basically explained how much it meant to her about receiving those handwritten letters when she was hired, and that someone took the time to do that and to send a package after that and all that. But we also mentioned the fact how important it was that everybody share in the communications of good news. When someone was given a wow or a thank you, or the client award, like when a client calls and says, make sure you tell Michelle that she did an amazing job. But we have a ovation award for that.
Yes.
And so any of these awards or thank yous that anybody does for a coworker, because it's all peer driven, it's all team to team, not from administration down.
Yeah.
Then everybody feels, oh, I'm working with a really cool team here that we're all connected. So because this engagement is what quiet quitting is all about.
Yeah.
People just shut off, right?
Yeah.
They don't feel part of it. They don't feel they have consequences if they don't show up or they're late or whatever because they don't see people next to them, working next to them. So I thought that was a very, very cool point.
So cool. Yeah.
That's also so good because our teams get some rough calls, right? And so the kudos is really helps balance it a little bit. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the example of doing the stories and making sure sharing them fits beautifully into both the onboarding and the engage, because everybody, we can often focus on the performance, like that person, like the above and beyond, but then you get tall poppy syndrome, and what happens to tall poppies? Somebody lops it off and sticks it in a vase, right? So you want to create this kind of common, like we're all in this together. And if I'm new to a team and I see what success looks like, I want to be acknowledged at some point. And so they can maybe see themselves in that. And from an engaged standpoint, that keeps people engaged. So some of these, these strategies that you have straddle both of those things. It would not fit on board if people didn't see, like as a new person, I don't see myself in that. Like I don't know that process, I don't know those people, I don't really, and it actually could have the opposite of it being disengaging for those folks in onboarding. All right, I'm going to do a time check. How are we doing, Erica? Yeah?
Oh,
15?
Whoa, we increased
oh my
time.
God, we've got so much time. I was wondering why the sign was, okay, that's so great. Yay,
Oh, wow,
awesome.
we time
Woo.
traveled. Yeah.
No, you know what? Hey, we're all one big family here. Some of us don't keep time very well. It's okay. It's okay. We appreciate you all the same. It's okay. No, I'm sorry. I should probably know. Yeah. All right. Anyone else on board who had a great idea? Yes.
We do a shadow shift before we even start training.
Yeah.
Where it's about 2 hours, and we go through everything, what they kind of expect to see before they actually start the training.
Yes.
And then I usually have a follow-up meeting with them before, just to kind of ask questions, see if it's actually something that they're interested in before getting into the next step.
Yeah. Shadow shift.
Yeah.
Giving people the opportunity to experience it.
Yeah.
And not have to you can go from, you know, meeting each other online, having a date. You don't have to get married right away. Like, let's slow the whole process down. So it's a great, well, I don't tell my husband I'm using dating metaphors. Can we all just, like, I probably shouldn't have done that. But yeah, it's a great example of being able to give people the support to consider what they like and what they don't like, give you feedback, as opposed to the new people feel so much pressure. I got it all right. Am I going to accept it? And given that people are so willing and quick to leave, we almost need to embrace that. Like, you've just beautifully embraced, like, not everybody's going to stay. So, like, we'll just, instead of working against it, we're going to work with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we get that feedback. So I loved the test, Colin. I love that as well, because we get that feedback where you maybe could have done a better job explaining the reality of the job, because it is really stressful. And I think when we kind of go into it, it's at the beginning and we're trying to woo them, and, you know, we're kind of building this relationship. So we don't maybe dive in as deeply as we could. So yeah, both of those ideas were really good.
Awesome. Any other onboard juicy ideas? What about engage? Yeah, Mr. Timothy.
We modified the Dreams program.
Oh, okay.
Program was individual. There's two words, invest and amplify. So we invest the time getting to know each other, and we amplify by use of social media. So when somebody's doing something great, whether it's a customer or somebody in our community or an employee or whatever, we try to support them by saying, you know, this person's doing a great thing. I called it good business karma. I'm not sure if that's
So like a social sort of
if we just get it out
arm.
there and it
Yeah.
comes back in some way, great. Otherwise, we feel good, and so do the employees
Yeah.
supporting us.
Yeah.
And I get that back just as much. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great one.
People want to be part and work for and with companies that are great and that are nice and that are kind and that are accountable. And so, you know, using social media in some of these things, not only is it just that's where people are hanging out and spending their time, but imagine if it were an incredible recruitment tool, because people pre-filter and they also pre-suade themselves in the attraction phase that I think I could see myself fitting with that. I think I would want to have dinner with that person. I really like that they have, you know, they've donated.
It's a really good attract.
It is
Yeah,
attract.
it's a really good attract
Yeah.
It's
tool.
also bringing them in more about getting to know, let's say, an agent's passion. Like
Yes.
in our office, who's been in a Girl Scouts program forever,
Mm-hmm.
and she's just super proud of it. So
Yeah, that's probably attract and engage, right? Because then if I'm a candidate and you're doing all these social programs, and then I know you support your team's interests, then I'm really interested, and then the engage kind of is the...
guys, and I stopped buying cookies.
You stop buying them?
Yeah,
They are too good.
Okay. Yeah. 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 Well, something that was really interesting working with Extend is they have so many passionate employees about charities. Like, this was one of our, where is Lena? I'm like scanning for Lena. Didn't we hear so much passion about what types of things, like animals and, you know, food banks and things, and that just, it helps as a company to be able to anchor. You do so much donation, so much charity work. Like, Extend is amazing, as I'm you know, all of you are. So it was, what did you guys do with those insights shared by staff to be able to, you know, to look at how philanthropy looks at, I'm sorry, I'm totally putting you on the spot. I apologize. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. We're gonna fact check your answer with the other 5. Yes, yeah.
We just really, I mean, the biggest one I think that comes to mind is the animals. We've got a whole lot of animal lovers, and everybody was just, you know, posting pictures of their animals on our little boards online, and just really passionate about animals. So we started like little, like we did like our social committee would do things, and then money would get put towards animals. And we donate back
We do have very passionate people at our company, especially since we've been remote for, I would say, probably 90% of the company is now officially just remote. So we kind of take into account because they're moving. So we all of a sudden have agents that are out east. Well, they actually did a survey for what area, what are you passionate about in your area, what can we do for your area. So it's not only just local to Brantford anymore.
Yeah.
It's now across Ontario and it's across out east.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, even a
Amazing.
bigger impact then, right?
Yeah. And then we take, from the social piece, and you start sharing that, and then as an industry, look what's happening over here, and look what's happening over here, and we, and imagine if the next CAMEX, you're able to share collectively how much you gave back, what's your reduction of your carbon footprint, or how much money that you've given back, or rave about the, supporting Indigenous as an industry. So it's that collective, yeah, Nina.
The biggest impact that it has is it's contagious.
Yes.
So, like, people are passionate about it, and then somebody else has an idea. Hey, what if we did it this way, or what if we did this? So we get ideas from our staff because they know that, we will foster some of these ideas, and we'll build on them and introduce them. So just even getting that engagement from the rest of our staff is
Yeah. Because when you have great people, you're seeding it, and then that able to build off of it. So,
It'd be
so
cool
great.
too, and I'm just talking to my team now, but it'd be cool to get the kids involved.
Everyone you can talk
Yeah,
amongst
so you can
yourselves.
plug your ears, but our team, it'd be cool to get the kids involved because that I think then fosters, some good skills. So anyway, I love that, and then
Yeah, so this is just a bit of an aha moment for me because we didn't talk to anybody about attract. And I think a lot of us, when we're attracting people, have sort of similar, what we would post on Indeed and things, like benefits, all that sort of stuff. Whereas everybody's talking about what their people are most passionate about are the causes they support and how they support one another. So I actually think maybe we should be considering about redoing what we send out when we are advertising to people and the kind of people, like you said about the avatars.
yeah.
About the kind of people that work for our company rather than salary benefits, cars.
Well, and then you stand out too, because we're competing against, we're all competing for talent in this room, and yes, but it allows you to stand out too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People, there's this quote, nobody ever marched on Wall Street because of a pie chart or a statistic, something like that. I butchered the quote, but it's true. Look at our job postings. And if they put people to sleep, then they're not super invigorating, right? Whereas if we share, we want to tell you about the most exciting thing that we're working on, you may want to be part of it. Oh, and by the way, we give great benefits, we do this, and here's the things we need, and here's, and videos, right? Like your video in the hat.
Yeah.
That'll be fun
Yes.
as a job
I know.
posting.
Yeah, get on a list
howdy
there, yeah.
potential,
Yeah.
a chef's
hat.
hat. We're
Yeah,
with
I'll
the
think about
icing.
it.
We're whipping up a batch of awesome. No, maybe not.
Oh.
Maybe not.
No.
Sorry.
Hire a lookalike. Yeah.
No, not so much. No. You know what? We're all going to go and write the script for Dana.
Yeah.
And then we're going to just try. No, never mind.
Well,
never mind.
I don't know.
No, but it's
Yeah.
a great point that it's what is the experience like? What do people say when they get here and they're like, I'm so glad I chose here? Do people see that and experience that before they even apply? In the website, on social, on and how the job posting is written. And thank you for saying the aha moment, because this is the beauty of this framework, is because you're like, oh my God, we do a great job of that here. For 5 minutes, we can keep talking about this. Great job over here. So what do we need to do earlier? I'm so sorry, Linda. I hope I didn't embarrass you. Thank you for keeping me on track. How could we do that earlier, and how could we keep that going so it feels authentic and it's consistent?
Consistent, yeah.
So
yeah.
I want to just stop talking and hand
No,
over
I
some
mean-
parting words to you, my friend.
Yeah, parting words, my gosh. This has been a huge game changer for us, this structure. And so I just encourage everybody to use the structure. It's really helped us. And, we are such a sharing environment. And I think, we're doing something. So I think just the more we can share, the better our entire industry can be.
Yeah. And if you would like your whole team to be able to really dig into recognition, scan that code. Just it gives Dana and I a little bit of feedback because, and then we will gift you a short microlearning. It's mostly video. It's some tools. It's 4 short modules, and anyone can do it. After they did the personality tool, then they can do that. But it's a way to kind of start a conversation about recognition. We've heard from so many folks about the importance of peer-to-peer. So thank you to us for the feedback. This is our version of a stay interview as to if we should ever come back.
Yes.
Or if we should be exiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. In all seriousness, thank you for that. It's also feedback that goes back to the conference. And we would just love for you to be able to spread this through this, kind of that next piece.
Absolutely, yeah. And share the results too. That would be really interesting too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So, thank all of your amazing folks that you have just met here. Don't forget that you have compliment cards on tables. If there are still some sitting there, please don't leave them behind. Find a worthy recipient. Thank you again to everyone at People Praise for sponsoring those cards so that you could use those. We're going to be hanging out here for a bit, right? If people have questions, feedback, want to tell us to our face what they really think about our session. But in the meantime, can I just frog you, my friend?
Oh, you're so sweet. My gosh.
Is Dana not so generous of having spent time out of her busy time preparing this? Yes.
Oh, you're sweet. Thanks. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
We have some presents, and I hope these belong to you because they were just lying there, so I took them. Linda wasn't around.
Okay,
So
yes,
I'm
we got a
hoping-
thumbs up.
I'm
We got a
hoping they're the
thumbs
right
up,
ones.
yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, you
Aw,
guys. That was
thanks.
an amazing workshop. I'm sure everybody are taking home some amazing take-home value and learned from each other and appreciate the time that both of you spent. Amazing ladies.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And
All
lunch
right.
now? Do you want me to? Lunch? What's that?
We're going over there for lunch. And the award.
Yeah, exactly.